Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. There is a place that waits for you right now, a place that has always been waiting, quietly and without demand, with nothing asked of you, and everything already prepared. You do not have to find it or earn your way to it. You do not have to be ready or worthy or finished with the things that have wearied you today. This place asks only that you arrive just as you are, in whatever state you find yourself, carrying whatever weight has gathered around your heart through the long hours of this day. You are welcome here. You are welcome exactly as you are. Let your body settle into the surface beneath you. Feel the small ways your muscles have been holding against something without your permission, the tension in your jaw, the tightness across your shoulders, the subtle bracing that comes from a day spent navigating a world that can feel uncertain and demanding. You do not need to hold yourself together right now. You do not need to maintain anything or manage anything or protect anything. The night has come, and with it a holy permission to simply be still. Simply breathe. Simply rest. The room around you is quiet, or as quiet as it can be, and even the sounds that remain are soft enough to pass through you like water through open hands. There is nothing required of you in this hour. No decisions are waiting. No problems demand your immediate attention. No one is asking anything of you in this soft and tender hour. The world has given you this space and something deeper than the world has given you, far more than space. You have been given an invitation, one that was spoken long ago and has never been taken back. Breathe in slowly, gently, without effort. Let the breath come in of its own accord, the way all natural things arrive when you stop straining toward them, and then let it go. That breath, let it fall away like a leaf from an open hand. You have been breathing all day without thinking about it, and your body has been faithful to you even when you forgot to be grateful. Your heart has been beating steadily, your lungs expanding and releasing, your body working on your behalf through all the hours of weariness and effort. You are already being cared for in ways you cannot fully see. Think for a moment, gently and without judgment, about the day that is now behind you, not to relive it or to analyze it, not to worry over what was said or undone, but simply to acknowledge it. You lived through today. You carried what needed to be carried. You did what you could with the strength and clarity you had. And if it fell short of what you hoped, that too is something you can release now. Today is complete. It has ended. It belongs now to the past, and the past is no longer asking anything of you. There is something deeply comforting about the knowledge that the night itself is a form of grace. Each evening that comes is a reminder woven into the fabric of creation that human beings were not designed to go without rest. The earth was given a rhythm of light and darkness, not by accident, but as a gift, so that all living things would know when to work and when to be still, when to tend to the world, and when to surrender themselves to something beyond their own effort. You were not made to run forever. You were made for rest, and into this evening stillness, into this particular quiet that has settled around you like a soft and weightless cloth, comes a voice, not a loud voice, not an urgent one, not one that demands or rushes or insists. It is the gentlest of voices, the kind that finds its way to you, not by forcing through the noise, but by waiting patiently, until the noise has settled enough that you can hear what has always been there. It is a voice that has been speaking your name since before you knew your own name, a voice rooted in something older and steadier than anything this world can offer. And what this voice says is something remarkable in its simplicity. Come to me, it says, all who are weary and burdened, come, and I will give you rest. These are the words of Jesus, recorded in the 11th chapter of the book of Matthew, and they have been spoken over the centuries into the hearts of tired people in tired circumstances, and they have lost none of their tenderness, none of their warmth, none of the genuine and unhurried compassion in which they were first offered. They are words that hold you rather than push you. They are words that receive you. Let those words rest in you for a moment without needing to do anything with them. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. There is no condition buried in those words that you must first satisfy. There is no level of tidiness required, no amount of spiritual achievement necessary before you can accept this offer. The invitation is extended precisely to those who are weary, which is to say, it is extended to you tonight in this condition, with this particular weight you have been carrying, with this particular kind of tired that has settled into your bones. Weariness is something almost every human being knows, though it wears different faces in different lives. There is the weariness of the body that comes from physical labor or illness, or simply the accumulation of days lived without adequate rest. This is perhaps the most straightforward kind of tired, the kind you can feel in the heaviness of your limbs, in the way your eyelids want to close before you are ready to let them, in the way your whole frame seems to lean toward the horizontal. The body remembers its need for rest, even when the mind tries to push past it. But there is another kind of weariness, one that lives not in the muscles and the bones, but somewhere deeper, in the parts of a person that no physician can examine and no amount of sleep alone can fully restore. This is the weariness of the soul, the exhaustion that comes from carrying more than the human heart was designed to carry alone, from straining toward things that remain out of reach, from hoping and being disappointed, from giving and finding little returned, from trying so hard for so long that the effort itself has become a kind of burden. You may know this weariness. It is the kind that sleep helps but does not cure, the kind that returns with the morning even after a full night of rest. It is connected to the worries you carry, the relationships that have been difficult, the futures you cannot quite see clearly, the questions that have no easy answers, the grief that visits when you least expect it, the low hum of anxiety that runs beneath the surface of ordinary days. This is the burden that Jesus specifically names. He does not speak only of the body's tiredness. He speaks to the tired soul. Think about what you have been carrying lately, not to dwell on it or magnify it, but simply to see it honestly in the soft light of this quiet hour. There are things you worry about, concerns that surface in the night when the distractions of the day have faded and you are left alone with what genuinely troubles you. Perhaps it is something about your health or the health of someone you love. Perhaps it is a financial worry, the uncertainty of provision, the fear of not having enough. Perhaps it is a relationship, something strained or broken, or not yet repaired. Perhaps you carry the weight of expectations, yours or others, the feeling that you are supposed to be further along, more together, more certain, more capable than you currently feel. Perhaps there is a decision before you that you do not know how to make, and the not knowing sits heavy in your chest. Perhaps there is something in your past that still visits you, something you cannot quite forgive yourself for, something that makes you wonder if the grace you have heard about is really meant for someone like you. Whatever your particular burden is tonight, you're not carrying it alone. The nature of burden is that it tends to feel personal and isolated. When you are carrying something heavy, it can feel as though no one else could possibly understand its specific weight, its precise shape, the particular way it presses against you. And while it is true that each person's burden is uniquely their own, it is also true that the experience of being burdened is one of the most universal things human beings share. Every person who has ever lived has known some version of this. Every person who walks the earth right now is carrying something. And into that universal human experience of burden and weariness, Jesus speaks. He does not speak from a distance, as someone who has never known what it is to be tired or troubled or pressed upon by the weight of life. The Christian faith carries within it the profound and mysterious conviction that God, in the person of Jesus, entered fully into human experience. He felt hunger and thirst. He knew grief so deep that he wept openly at the tomb of his friend. He experienced the loneliness of being misunderstood. He knew what it was to be exhausted. There are moments recorded in the Gospels where Jesus, fully present in his human nature, simply needed to rest. He would withdraw from the crowds, slip away from the demands that pressed on him from every side, and find a quiet place, a hillside, a garden, a boat on calm water. He knew the fatigue that comes from giving constantly, from being sought out by those who needed healing and teaching and comfort, from carrying the weight of a mission that no one else could have carried. He did not despise the need for rest. He honored it. He made space for it. So when Jesus says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened," there is within those words a deep understanding. He is not speaking from above the experience of weariness. He is not offering rest the way someone who has never been tired offers advice to someone exhausted. He speaks from within the knowledge of what it means to carry weight, to be pressed upon by the demands of life, to pour yourself out in service and love. And from within that understanding, he says, "Come, bring it all, lay it down. I will give you rest." The word rest, as Jesus uses it, carries more meaning than we sometimes allow ourselves to receive. It is not merely the absence of activity, the pause between one burst of effort and the next. It is something far more substantial and lasting. The Greek word used in Matthew's account carries within it the sense of refreshment, of renewal, of being made whole again in a way that restores what has been lost. It is the rest that comes not from stopping, but from being held, from being cared for at a depth that goes beyond what human comfort alone can reach. This kind of rest is available to you right now, not tomorrow, not after you have resolved the things that trouble you, not on the other side of the difficulties that have made you weary. Right now, in this moment, with all the unresolved things still present and the unknown still unknown, the offer stands. Come, you are already here. You have already come. In the very act of opening your heart to these words, in the very willingness to be still and to listen, something is already happening, something quiet and gentle and profoundly real. Imagine for a moment that you are setting something down, not permanently, not with any dramatic gesture, but simply and gently, like setting a heavy bag on the floor when you come inside from a long journey. You have been carrying it for a long time. You have grown so accustomed to its weight that you have almost forgotten what it feels like to be without it. But you can put it down right now. You do not have to carry it through the night. The morning may ask you to pick it up again, but the night does not require that of you. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of what you would most like to set down tonight? There is no wrong answer. It might be something grand and complicated, a major life concern that has occupied your thoughts for months. Or it might be something smaller, the irritation of a difficult conversation earlier today, the nagging sense that you forgot something important, the lingering awkwardness of an interaction that did not go the way you hoped. Whatever it is real, and it matters, and you are allowed to put it down now. Let yourself breathe around that thing for a moment. Feel the edges of it, not to examine it in detail, but just to locate it, to notice where it lives in your body. Worry often lives in the chest or the stomach. Grief tends to settle in the throat. Anger can be found in the shoulders or the jaw. Fear sometimes makes itself known as a tightness behind the eyes or a restless quality in the limbs. Wherever your burden lives in your body right now, breathe into that place gently and with intention, not to force the tension away, but simply to bring awareness and breath to what has been held without acknowledgement. Now imagine, as gently as you like, releasing your grip on that thing just slightly, not abandoning it, not pretending it does not exist, but loosening the way your heart is clutching it in the night. There is an invisible trust that can happen in these quiet moments, a small act of surrender that says, I cannot carry this effectively through the hours of sleep. I am going to let it rest somewhere else while I rest here. And the somewhere else is not a void or an empty space, but the capable and caring hands of the one who said, come to me. This is what trust looks like in its most essential form, not a feeling of certainty, not the absence of fear, not a confident knowing that everything will resolve the way you hope. It is simply the act of releasing what you cannot control into hands that are not yours, in the faith that those hands are real and present and that they have not let you go. You may not feel that faith strongly tonight. You may feel it only as a thin thread, barely perceptible. That is enough, even a thin thread, when it connects to something immovable, can hold. There is a story in the Gospels, told in the 4th chapter of Mark, that has brought comfort to countless tired and frightened souls over the centuries, and it returns now to you in this quiet hour, like something carried gently across water. Jesus and his disciples were crossing the Sea of Galilee by boat as evening came on. The disciples were men who knew the sea, fishermen, many of them, men who had grown up reading the water and the sky, who understood what an evening crossing could mean. They were competent people, accustomed to the demands of the water. And yet, the storm that came upon them that evening was beyond what their competence could manage. The wind rose suddenly, the waves grew enormous, the boat began to fill with water, and somewhere in the midst of all this chaos and fear, Jesus was asleep. He was asleep in the stern of the boat, his head on a cushion, resting in the kind of deep and peaceful sleep that belongs to someone who is genuinely untroubled. The disciples, soaked and frightened, came to him and woke him, crying out, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" And he woke, and he looked at the storm, and he spoke to it. He said, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. Not a gradual settling, not a slow lessening of the waves over the next hour, but an immediate and complete stillness, the kind that could only have come from an authority that the wind and the waves recognized as greater than their own. The disciples stood in that sudden silence, the water no longer crashing around them, the wind no longer roaring, and they were filled with awe. "Who is this?" they asked each other, "that even the wind and the sea obey him?" What moves through this story is not primarily the miracle of the calmed storm. What moves through it is the sleep. Jesus was asleep in the storm. He was resting in the middle of the chaos, completely at peace while the world around him was in upheaval. This is not an image of indifference. He cared deeply, as his response to the disciples showed, but he rested in the knowledge that nothing, not even the worst storm the sea could produce, lay outside the reach of his Father's care. He slept because he trusted, and trust made rest possible. You can carry something of that image with you into the night. Whatever storm is present in your life right now, whatever wind has been howling around the edges of your days, you are not required to stay awake battling it through the dark hours. The one who calmed that ancient storm has not changed. The one who spoke peace into those churning waters is the same one who speaks that word into the particular storms of your own life, into the uncertainty and the fear and the exhaustion. Peace, be still. Let those words move through you like water finding its level. Think of the water itself, not the storm-tossed sea now, but still water, water as it comes to rest. Imagine a lake at evening, the surface going perfectly smooth as the wind settles and the light begins to fade. The last of the day's colors are reflected there, rose and amber and the first pale suggestion of night blue. Everything is doubled in that mirror surface, sky and cloud and distant hill. There is no sound except, perhaps, the very soft sound of small waves finding the shore, a sound so regular and gentle that it is almost like breathing, almost like the breathing of the earth itself. This is a kind of rest that the world around you holds, even on the most troubled days, if you know where to look for it. Still water appears in Scripture again and again as a symbol of the peace that God provides, of the care that leads the weary soul away from the barren and exposed places and towards something nourishing and calm. The 23rd Psalm, that most beloved of all the ancient songs, speaks of a shepherd who leads his sheep beside still waters, not rushing waters, not waters that demand your speed and attention, but still waters, waters that simply hold their calm and invite you to be still as well. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. These words were written by a shepherd who knew both the green pastures and the dark valleys, who had spent long hours alone under open sky, with nothing but the bleating of his flock and the distant sound of wind in the grass. David understood weariness. He knew what it was to be hunted, to be betrayed, to carry the burden of leadership and failure and longing. And from within all of that, he wrote about a shepherd who knew the way to the still places, the quiet pastures, the unhurried waters where the soul could be restored. Your soul needs restoration tonight, not because you have failed or fallen apart, but simply because you are human, and the human soul needs to be renewed the way a lamp needs oil, not as a punishment for running low, but as a natural consequence of giving light. You have been giving light in your own way through the days of your life, through your work and your relationships and your care for others, through the ways you have tried to show up faithfully in circumstances that have not always been easy. The lamp needs oil. The soul needs restoration. This is not weakness. This is the design. And the design includes this very hour of stillness and surrender. It includes the night that comes after the day, the rest that follows the effort, the quiet that waits at the end of the striving. God built rest into the structure of creation from the very beginning. After 6 days of creation, the seventh was given over entirely to rest, not because God was tired in the way we become tired, but as an establishing of the rhythm, a declaration that rest is holy, that stillness has dignity, that the ceasing from labor is not laziness, but something sacred and necessary, woven into the very fabric of time. You are participating right now in something that has been practiced by human beings across all of recorded history and beyond. Every generation has known this moment of lying down in the dark, releasing the day, surrendering consciousness to the mercy of sleep. Every one of your ancestors, going back to the very beginning of human life on this earth, has done this. They have put down their work and their worry and their plans and closed their eyes and entrusted themselves to the night. There is a deep belonging in this, a participation in the great human family of those who have known tiredness and accepted rest. And across all those generations, in every culture and era, there have been those who carried with them into the night the knowledge of a God who watched over them while they slept. The ancient Psalms are full of this confidence. He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. He watches over your coming and going both now and forevermore. You can sleep because something does not sleep on your behalf. You can release your vigilance because a vigilance greater than your own is maintained through all the hours of darkness. You are not left unguarded. You are not left alone. Let that truth settle into you now, like warmth settling into cold hands. You are not alone in this night. Whatever has made you feel isolated or unseen or forgotten, whatever has contributed to the weight you have been carrying, the fundamental reality beneath all of it is that you are known and you are not alone. The one who formed you, who knit you together in the secret place before you drew your first breath, has not turned away, has not grown impatient, has not decided that you are too much trouble or not worth the effort. You are held even in the moments when you cannot feel it. There is a woman whose story appears in the Gospel of Luke, a woman who had been bent, literally, physically bent, for 18 years. She could not stand up straight. Something had so compressed and curved her spine that she moved through the world, looking downward, unable to lift her gaze to the horizon or the sky. 18 years of that. 18 years of seeing only the ground in front of her feet, of being unable to look people in the face, of carrying in her very body a burden that the gospel describes as a spirit of infirmity. She had been carrying it for nearly 2 decades. And she came to the synagogue on a Sabbath day, this bent and burdened woman, as she presumably had done countless times before, and Jesus saw her. Not the way a crowd sees a familiar figure, not with the passing glance that skims the surface and moves on. He saw her in the way that matters, the deep seeing that perceives what is real and true about a person, that looks past the surface and finds the soul. And he called her to him. "Woman," he said, "you are freed from your infirmity." And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she straightened up, and she praised God. 18 years of burden lifted in a moment, 18 years of looking downward, and suddenly she could raise her face to the sky. The religious leaders present objected to the healing happening on the Sabbath, as though the law were meant to protect God from the inconvenience of mercy. And Jesus responded with something that cut straight to the heart of what he understood about burden and release. "Should not this daughter of Abraham," he said, "whom Satan has kept bound for 18 long years, be set free on the Sabbath day from what bound her?" The Sabbath, the day of rest, was precisely the right day for the lifting of burdens. You are also a child of the promise, someone with a name and a history and a burden that has perhaps been with you long enough that you have almost forgotten what it felt like to stand straight. Perhaps not 18 years, perhaps much less, but long enough that the weight has become familiar, that you have adjusted your whole way of moving through the world to accommodate it. And tonight, in this hour that is its own kind of Sabbath, its own small space of rest carved out from the demands of ordinary time, the same compassionate seeing is turned toward you. Let yourself be seen in this moment, not the version of yourself you present to the world, the competent or capable or holding it together version, but the actual you, the one who knows how tired you really are, the one who knows what you have been carrying and for how long. That is the person this invitation is extended to, not the put together version, the real one. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, all. There is no exception clause. There is no asterisk. There is no version of your weariness that disqualifies you from the rest being offered. Your thoughts may be very active right now, even as you lie in the stillness. The mind often grows louder when the body grows quiet, as though all the thoughts that have been waiting their turn while you were busy have finally found their opening and want to crowd in at once. This is a very common and very human experience. You do not need to silence those thoughts by force or feel frustrated that they are present. Simply notice them the way you might notice birds arriving at a window, with calm acknowledgement, without urgency or alarm. You can gently, without struggle, allow those thoughts to drift past rather than latching onto them. Imagine them as clouds moving slowly across an evening sky, each one arriving and then continuing on its way without requiring you to do anything about it. A thought about tomorrow's schedule arrives, and you simply watch it pass. A worry about something unresolved drifts in, and you acknowledge it without climbing inside it. A memory of something difficult surfaces, and you let it move through without demanding your full attention. You are not suppressing these thoughts. You are simply choosing not to follow them tonight. There is a practice in the Christian contemplative tradition, sometimes described as releasing the mind to God, a way of coming to prayer and meditation that is less about saying the right words and more about creating a space of open, receptive stillness. In that stillness, rather than filling the space with words and requests and analyses, you simply hold your heart open in the direction of God and let whatever rises in that openness be received and held by something greater than yourself. It is a humble kind of prayer, a trusting kind. It says, I am here. I do not know what to say. I am simply here. You are simply here tonight. That is enough. You do not need to pray beautifully or think profound spiritual thoughts or arrive at some insight that proves you have used this time well. Resting is using this time well. Surrendering is using this time well. Allowing yourself to be held is using this time well. Jesus does not offer rest as a reward for those who pray eloquently. He offers it freely as a gift in response to weariness. And you have weariness. That is your qualification. That is the only credential you need. The hills of Galilee, where so much of Jesus' ministry unfolded, were quiet places in the evenings. After the heat of the day, after the crowds had dispersed and gone back to their villages and their lives, those hills would settle into a particular kind of hush that belongs to elevated places and open skies. The grass would be cooling. The rocks that had absorbed the sun's heat would be releasing it gently into the evening air, and the stars would be appearing one by one in the deepening blue above, each one finding its familiar place in the ancient pattern of the night sky. Jesus would often seek those hills when he needed to pray, climbing away from the noise and the need and the press of human longing to find a place where he could be alone with his Father. There is something in those images of Jesus on the hillside in the dark, his face turned upward, his whole being given over to prayer and communion that speaks to the deepest need in every human soul. We are made for this. We are made for communion with the one who made us, for quiet conversation with the one who knows us completely. And in those moments of communion, something is restored. You can imagine yourself on such a hillside now, if you like, not in any dramatic or effortful way, but simply as a soft image to rest your mind on during these night hours. A hillside in the cool of the evening, the grass beneath you, soft and yielding, the air carrying the faint sweetness of whatever grows in warm soil under open sky, the city or the town or wherever you live, your daily life is somewhere far below or somewhere far away. And here there is only this, the ground beneath you and the sky above you and the vast and gentle silence of the world at rest. From such a hillside, you can see a great deal without being seen by anyone. The valley below is settling into darkness, lights coming on in the small scattered houses as families gather for the evening, smoke rising from a cooking fire here and there, the distant ribbon of a road that will be empty at this hour. And above, the sky continuing its slow and magnificent transformation from the gold of sunset through the rose and gray of twilight, into the deep blue of true night, the stars growing brighter as the light fades, each one holding its ancient and faithful position. There is no urgency on this hillside. There is no one arriving with demands. There is no problem to be solved in the next 10 minutes. There is only this long, slow, quiet evening, and the cooling grass, and the stars finding their places, and the deep stillness that settles over the land when the last of the day's noise has faded. You can breathe here. You can let your shoulders drop and your chest open, and your breathing slow until it matches the rhythm of the place itself, unhurried and gentle and easy. In this imagined stillness, bring to mind the words again. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Let them come slowly, one phrase at a time, like stones settling into clear water. Come, you have come, you are here, all who are weary, you carry weight, and I will give you rest. Not loan it, not allow it, give it. The rest is a gift, something offered freely from an abundance that does not run dry. You are not drawing from a limited supply. The rest available to you tonight has no bottom. Take a breath now that is a little slower and deeper than the ones before it. Let your rib cage expand gently outward. Feel the fullness of the air inside you, and then release it slowly all the way until your chest is soft and relaxed. In that exhaled breath, let something go. Whatever is sitting heaviest on your heart right now, let just a portion of it leave with that breath. Not because breathing will resolve it, but because releasing is itself an act of trust, a physical way of practicing what the soul is being invited to do. Breathe out and let go, even just a little, even just this once. The breath that follows will come on its own. You do not need to force it. The body knows when it needs air, and it will draw the next breath at exactly the right moment, without your management or oversight. This too is a form of trust that your body already practices constantly. You breathe without monitoring every breath. Your heart beats without your supervision. Your cells repair themselves while you sleep, without your knowledge or effort. There is so much in your life that continues and functions and is cared for without your direct involvement. You are not as alone as the anxious mind sometimes suggests. Think about what it means to be cared for. Really allow yourself to sit with that concept for a moment, not in the intellectual way, but in the felt way, in the place where truth becomes warmth rather than information. You are being cared for right now. In this moment, the same creative intelligence that called the stars into their places and maintains their orbits with a faithfulness so precise that human beings can build time itself around the movements of celestial bodies. That same intelligence and love and power is attending to you in this particular bed, in this particular room, on this particular night. You are not too small to be seen. You are not too ordinary to be loved. You are not too broken to be repaired. These are the whispered suggestions that the tired mind sometimes accepts in the dark hours, the creeping notions that you are somehow outside the reach of the care that seems so obviously available to others. But the Gospels tell a different story. They show us a Jesus who stopped for individuals in the middle of crowds, who noticed the woman who touched the hem of his garment in the press of many bodies, who called Zacchaeus down from his tree by name, who sat with the single Samaritan woman at the well in the heat of the midday sun. There is a tenderness in those encounters that resists being reduced to doctrine or principle. They are simply the record of a person who saw people, really saw them one by one, and responded to what he saw with compassion that was completely particular and individual. He did not heal in bulk or love in averages. He saw each face and knew each story and offered each person exactly what they needed. And the one who is the same yesterday, today, and forever sees your face tonight, knows your story, knows the specific weight of your specific burden, and says, "Come." Perhaps tonight your burden is grief. Perhaps you are carrying the absence of someone you loved, the shape of them still present in the furniture and the routines and the sudden ambushes of memory that catch you off guard in ordinary moments. Grief is one of the heaviest burdens the human heart carries, and it is also one of the most misunderstood, often rushed or dismissed by those around us who find it uncomfortable. But Jesus wept at the tomb of Lazarus. He is not uncomfortable with grief. He honors it. He meets you there in the weight of absence and the ache of missing. Perhaps your burden is loneliness. Perhaps you move through your days surrounded by people and still feel in some deep and aching way that you are fundamentally unseen, that the real you, the most honest and unguarded version of yourself, has not been truly known and accepted by another person. This is a very particular kind of pain, the loneliness that exists not in isolation, but in the middle of company, the loneliness of the heart that has not found its safe place. And to this too the invitation comes. Come to me. The one who knows you completely also loves you completely. That is not nothing. That is everything. Perhaps your burden is fear, not always the acute fear of a specific threat, but the low-grade chronic fear that colors ordinary life with uncertainty, the anxiety that asks what if, what if, what if, in an endless loop that exhausts without ever arriving anywhere useful. Fear is one of the most tiring emotions the human system can sustain, and it is extraordinarily common. Most people carry some version of this quiet dread beneath the surface of their daily functioning, worried about things they cannot control, bracing for possibilities that have not arrived and may never arrive. Jesus addressed fear more frequently than almost any other human condition in the Gospels. Do not be afraid. Fear not. Be not troubled. Be not anxious. These words appear again and again, not as commands to suppress an inconvenient emotion, but as invitations into a different relationship with the uncertainty that generates fear. The antidote to fear, in the way Jesus offered it, was not certainty about outcomes. It was trust in the character of the one who holds the outcomes. You do not need to know how things will turn out in order to rest tonight. You need only to trust the one who does know. Fear not, for I am with you. These words, spoken through the prophet Isaiah, centuries before the birth of Jesus, were part of the long continuous story of a God who speaks into human fear, not with explanations, but with presence. I am with you. That is the answer. Not here is how everything will work out. Not here is the complete plan and timetable. But I am with you, in the night as in the day, in the uncertainty as in the clear moments, in the confusion as in the understanding. I am with you, and my being with you changes the nature of what you face, even when it does not immediately change the circumstances. Let your body become a little heavier now. There is a way that genuine release allows the physical self to settle more deeply into rest, as though the body has been waiting for the permission that the spirit gives when it finally lets go. Feel the weight of your limbs, the pleasant heaviness of relaxed muscles, the way the surface beneath you supports every part of you without any effort on your part. You are held up. You are not required to hold yourself. The ground and the mattress and the pillows are doing the work of support right now, and you can simply accept that support completely and without reservation. Your hands can be completely open and relaxed, fingers slightly curved, palms soft. This is the posture of receiving rather than grasping. The closed fist grasps and holds. The open hand receives. In the spiritual life, this is one of the most important postures the soul can learn, the willingness to release what you have been clutching and to open yourself to what is offered. You cannot receive what you are busy clinging to, something else to hold. Open hands, open heart. The gift of rest waits for exactly this kind of openness. There is a passage in the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus speaks about anxiety and the way it consumes human attention and energy, directing his listeners' gaze toward the birds of the air and the lilies of the field. Look at the birds, he says. They do not sow or reap or gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of much more value than they? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet not even Solomon, in all his glory, was dressed as one of these. There is in these words an invitation to notice the world's evidence of care. The birds sing at dawn because something in them knows the day will provide. The flowers open without knowing who will see them, without calculation, simply opening because that is what they are made to do. The grass grows green in the spring without anxiety about the coming winter. The whole natural world, in its own way, lives within the provision that is already present, trusting the next moment to hold what the next moment needs. This is not ignorance. It is a kind of wisdom that the human mind, with its ability to project forward into imagined futures, has difficulty accessing. But it is available. You can touch it in the night stillness. Consider what you actually need right now, in this moment, not tomorrow or next week, not what you might need if the worst imaginable thing happens, not the provision required for all the possible scenarios your imagination can generate. What do you need right now, in this moment? You have a place to lie down. You have air to breathe. You have a degree of warmth and a safety. Your heart is beating. Your lungs are working. In this exact moment, you are provided for. The anxiety is always about a future that has not yet arrived. The provision is always in the present moment that is here. Jesus says that worrying cannot add a single hour to your life. What worry does, in fact, is consume the present moment in service of an imagined future, leaving you absent from the actual life you are living. Tonight, the actual life you are living is this: a quiet room, a body that needs rest, a heart that has been carrying more than it needed to carry alone, and an invitation to lay it down. This is your actual present moment. This is the life that is happening right now. And within this moment, there is a peace available that is genuinely real. Peace I leave with you, Jesus said to his disciples on the night before his death. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. These were parting words, spoken in the shadow of what was coming, in the knowledge that the next day would bring suffering and loss. And yet, into that shadow, he spoke peace, not false comfort, not a promise that the pain would not come, but peace, real, substantial, sustaining peace, his peace, given to you across all the centuries and all the changes, as genuinely now as it was then. His peace is available to you tonight. It does not depend on your circumstances being comfortable or your problems being solved or your future being secured. It rests on something far more stable than any of those things. It rests on the character of the one who offers it, on the love that is strong enough to give everything and still have everything to give, on the faithfulness that does not waver with seasons or circumstances, on the power that nothing in heaven or earth or anywhere else can interrupt or overcome. This is the ground your peace rests on. It is unshakable. Breathe again, slowly and gently, in and then out, with a long, slow exhalation that carries with it whatever tension remains in your chest and throat. Let your shoulders fall a little further. Let your neck relax so that your head is fully supported, not held. You do not need to hold your own head tonight. Let it rest. Let the pillow do its work. Let your whole body participate in this release, this gentle and progressive surrender to the rest that is both physical and far deeper than physical. There is a quality of light in the late evening that is unlike any other light. The sun has gone below the horizon, but has not yet taken all of its color with it. The sky holds, for a brief and exquisite time, a kind of luminosity that is all softness and depth, neither the bright certainty of day nor the full embrace of night, but something in between, a threshold light that feels sacred precisely because it cannot last. In that light, everything is softer, edges blur, shadows deepen without darkening. The world seems to breathe out, releasing the held breath of the day. This is the light of the hour of rest, the light that comes just before the stars, the light that the ancients called the gloaming, a word so soft it almost sounds like what it means. You can let that light be the light of your imagination right now if you wish. Everything in softer focus, everything a little warmer in tone. The hard, sharp outlines of the day's difficulties faded into something gentler, not because they are less real, but because the light has changed, and with it your perspective, the distance of evening between you and the sharp noon-hour clarity of your troubles. From the distance of evening, many things look different. The conversation that felt devastating this morning seems slightly less sharp in the softer light of night. The problem that seemed unsolvable at 3 p.m. has perhaps revealed itself to have edges that are not quite as absolute as they appeared. The fear that chased you through the day has lost some of its speed in the stillness. This is not denial. It is the natural wisdom that distance and stillness provide, the perspective that rest restores after the close and relentless engagement of the day. Tomorrow will have its own light and its own clarity, and in that light you may see things that are not visible to you now. But that is tomorrow, and tomorrow does not need your attention tonight. Tonight, in this gentle in-between light of the restful imagination, you are not required to see clearly or decide anything or understand what has so far been beyond your understanding. You are simply required to be still, to breathe, to allow the evening to do its work of softening and settling and preparing you for the deeper rest that is already on its way. Think of the Sea as Galilee not in summer but in stillness, as it must have looked on countless mornings before the world was awake, the surface like a mirror, the hills reflected perfectly in the water, the sky still holding the last faint stars, perhaps a single fishing boat at anchor a little distance from the shore, its reflection doubled below it in the glass-smooth water. The only sound, the occasional soft lap of water against the hull, the cry of a bird far out over the water, and the breathing of the world itself in the silence before dawn. This is the world that Jesus walked through on his way to pray in the early mornings, this silence, this stillness, this world balanced on the edge between night and day. He knew these waters. He had lived beside them for years of his ministry, had watched them in every season and every weather. He had walked on them in the night, coming to his disciples across the surface of the water in the darkness. And his first words to them as he walked toward them through the dark were, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid." Whatever darkness surrounds you, whatever seems impossible about the ground beneath your feet, take heart. He comes. He comes across the water in the night. He finds you not in the comfortable daylight hours, when your faith is easy and your confidence is steady, but in the night hours, the dark and uncertain ones, the hours when the ground feels less solid than it did, and the fears are larger than they seemed. He comes precisely then. He comes in the moment of your greatest need, and his first words are always some version of the same thing. Take heart, do not be afraid, I am here. In the long history of divine encounters with frightened human beings, this is the refrain that plays again and again. I am here. I am with you. Take heart tonight. Let that phrase rest somewhere in your chest, behind the sternum, where the body holds its deepest feelings, in the warm center of you, where things are known before they are thought. Take heart. Your heart is enough, this particular heart, with its particular sorrows, and particular longings, and particular weariness. It is enough. You are enough. The tired, honest, sometimes struggling, sometimes faithful, always beloved version of you that lies in this bed tonight is enough, more than enough. You are not required to be anything other than what you are in order to be received. The practice of surrender, which is one of the oldest and most central practices in the Christian spiritual life, is not the practice of giving up or of passive resignation to whatever comes. It is the practice of releasing your grip on the illusion of control that the anxious mind maintains at enormous cost. The illusion is this, that if you worry hard enough and think carefully enough and plan thoroughly enough and maintain your vigilance constantly enough, you can make the future safe. The illusion is very convincing because sometimes effort does change outcomes, but the underlying belief that you can make yourself ultimately safe by your own effort alone is not fully true. Surrender says, I acknowledge what is beyond my control. I acknowledge that there are things in my life and in the world that my worry and my effort cannot determine. And rather than continuing to exhaust myself in the attempt to control the uncontrollable, I am choosing to release those things, to entrust them to the one who actually holds all things, to stop clinging to the wheel of a car that I was never actually driving. This is not defeat. This is wisdom. This is the peace that comes not from having achieved security, but from having found the one in whom security truly resides. Cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. This is the invitation of the letter of Peter, one of those disciples who stood in the boat on the stormy sea and asked who this man was that the wind and water obeyed him. Peter, who knew both the fear of the storm and the miracle of the calm, writing to people scattered and pressed upon by the difficulties of the world, found the words for what he had learned. Cast your anxiety on him. Not manage your anxiety, not pray away your anxiety, and then take it back when prayer is done. Cast it, release it fully in the direction of the one who can bear what you cannot, because he cares for you. That phrase anchors everything. The casting of anxiety is only possible within the context of genuine care. You would not entrust your deepest fears to someone who was indifferent to you, but the claim at the heart of the gospel, the claim that colors everything else in the New Testament, is that the God who holds all things is not indifferent, is not impassive, is not watching human suffering from a cool and uninvolved distance. He cares actively, specifically for you, by name, by nature, by the particular shape of your particular life and particular need. In the 15th chapter of Luke, Jesus tells 3 stories in a row, each one about something lost that is found, and each one culminating in celebration, a sheep that wanders from the flock, and the shepherd who leaves the 99 to search for the one, a coin that slips from a woman's hand, and her careful searching of the house until it is recovered, and the longer, richer story of a son who takes his inheritance early and wastes it in a distant country, finding himself eventually longing for what he once had and beginning the long journey home. In the story of the lost son, it is this image that stays with you through the night. When the son was yet a great way off, the father saw him. He was watching. He was looking in the direction where his son had gone, and when he saw him, he did not wait for the son to complete his journey of return, did not wait for the rehearsed speech about being made a servant, did not require any of the contrition the son had prepared. He ran to him. The father ran. He covered the distance between them, embraced him, kissed him, called for celebration before a single word of apology had been spoken. That is the picture Jesus drew of God responding to a soul in return, not a God who waits with crossed arms for the appropriate degree of remorse, not a God who keeps a ledger and requires the balance to be settled before the relationship can resume, a God who watches, who sees from a great way off, who runs toward the returning child, who celebrates the return not because the child has earned celebration, but because the child who was lost is found again. You are that child, however far you have wandered from the peace and presence you long for. The Father is watching for your return. You do not have to earn your way back. You are not required to arrive in a particular condition. The act of turning, the simple turning of the heart in the direction of home, is enough to set the Father running. This is the grace that surpasses understanding, the welcome that the tired and the lost and the burdened receive not after they have proven themselves worthy, but while they are still on the road, still making their way back, still carrying the evidence of the difficult journey. Come, turn. You are already seen from a great way off. Rest your mind on that image for a moment, the Father watching from the doorway, the long road stretching away into the afternoon light, and somewhere on that road, a figure turning, beginning the long walk back, not yet close enough to see the expression on the Father's face, but already moving in the right direction. This is what returning to rest looks like. It is not arriving, it is turning. It is not achieving the destination, it is orienting yourself toward it. And the moment you turn, the watching becomes running, and the running closes the distance between you and the rest you need. Something in you has already turned, something that you cannot fully account for, some impulse or grace or longing that was there before you understood what it was, something that has led you here to this place of stillness and these words and this hour of quiet invitation. Whatever led you here, it is not an accident. The searching is not entirely on your side. You are being found as you search. You are being drawn home as you try to find the way. The shepherd is not waiting for the sheep to find its own path back. The shepherd goes looking, and in the going, you are already being found. In the 23rd Psalm, the valley of the shadow of death is not a place the sheep reaches and must endure alone. Even there, the shepherd is present. Even there, the rod and staff are comfort rather than threat. Even in the darkest and most frightening valley, the presence of the shepherd transforms the experience from abandonment to accompaniment. You are not moving through your difficult places alone. Whatever valley your current weariness represents, whatever shadow is falling across the particular season of your life, you are not walking through it without company. Let that companionship be real to you tonight, more than a theological statement and more than a comforting metaphor. Let it be a presence that you open yourself to in this moment of stillness, something you do not have to manufacture or earn or sustain by the effort of your own spiritual energy. The presence of God is not something you create in prayer. It is something you become aware of. It is already there. It has always been there. The whole history of contemplative experience in the Christian tradition is fundamentally the story of human beings discovering in moments of stillness and surrender that they were never alone. You are surrounded right now, not by anything threatening, by something that is trying gently and without force to communicate to you the most essential truth about your existence. You are loved completely, without condition, not in spite of your failures and your fears and your weariness, but with them fully known, fully seen, fully accounted for. The love that holds you is not naive. It knows exactly what you are, and it holds you anyway. It held you before you knew you were held. It will hold you long after this night is over. There is a phrase in the 8th chapter of Paul's letter to the Romans that has the quality of bedrock, something that has held up under the weight of centuries of human suffering and doubt. Nothing will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Paul arrives at this declaration after naming every terrible thing he can imagine: death, life, angels, rulers, things present, things to come, powers, height, depth, anything else in all creation. He names them all looks at each one squarely, and declares that not one of them is strong enough to break what holds you to the love of God, that love is your shelter tonight. Let the word shelter sit with you for a moment with all its warmth and its solidity. A shelter is a place that protects without confining, that covers without suffocating, that provides safety while leaving you free. The love of God is your shelter in this way. It surrounds you without limiting you. It holds you without restricting you. It keeps you without trapping you. You are free within the shelter of love to be fully yourself, to bring your full, weary, honest self into its warmth and be cared for without condition. Think of the image of a bird finding shelter under a wing. In the Psalms, this image appears repeatedly. Hide me in the shadow of your wings, as a mother bird covers her young with her wings in a storm. So the Psalms describe the protective care of God. There is something instinctively comforting about this image because it draws on the most fundamental experience of safety that many creatures know, the warmth and protection of parental shelter in the earliest and most vulnerable days of life, under the wing, safe, warm, held, close to the heartbeat of the one who shelters. Your breathing has probably slowed somewhat over these last few minutes, your body responding to the invitation to rest even as your mind continues to follow these gentle words. You may notice that your muscles have released some of their held tension, that the weight of your body against the mattress has increased slightly as you have allowed yourself to sink further into rest. This is good. This is the body doing what it was designed to do in the quiet hours. It is healing itself in ways you cannot observe and restoring what the day consumed faithfully and without requiring your supervision. The body's ability to repair and restore itself during sleep is one of the quietly astonishing features of human design, a kind of grace built into the physical structure of your life. While you sleep, your brain consolidates the memories of the day, processes emotional experiences, clears away the metabolic residue that accumulates during waking hours. Your immune system does some of its most active work in the night hours. Your cells divide and repair. Every system of your body takes advantage of the stillness of sleep to do the maintenance that keeps you functional and restored. This is the Creator's design for the body, a built-in restoration process, a regular and necessary returning to wholeness that requires only your willingness to lie down and let it happen. You cannot sleep better by trying harder to sleep. The harder you try, the more elusive rest becomes. Sleep, like grace, comes most freely to those who stop straining toward it and simply open themselves to receive it. Let your body have what it already knows how to do. Trust the design. Trust the one who designed it. You were built for this rest. Let it come to you as simply as the breath comes. In the book of Exodus, there is a remarkable provision that God makes for the people of Israel on their long journey through the wilderness. Each day, as they travel, a substance called manna appears on the ground with the morning dew, a food that comes not from their effort, but from above, provided fresh each morning, enough for the day, but not to be stored or hoarded. The provision was calibrated precisely to the day's need, not more, not less. Daily bread, as Jesus would later call it, sufficient for today. Tomorrow would have its own provision. Your morning will come. After this night of rest, after these dark hours of sleep and stillness and the quiet work of restoration, morning will arrive, and with it will come what that particular morning requires, new mercy, as the Book of Lamentations puts it. Great is your faithfulness. The mercies are new every morning, not recycled from yesterday's supply, not depleted by the demands of previous days, new, fresh, precisely calibrated to the day ahead. You do not need to gather tonight what tomorrow will provide. Tonight you need only rest in the sufficiency of what this night already holds. Great is your faithfulness. This is one of the most sustaining declarations in all of Scripture, spoken not from a place of easy comfort, but from the ruins of Jerusalem, from the middle of destruction and grief and the apparent catastrophe of everything the writer had hoped for. And yet, from that place of devastation, the assertion, "Great is your faithfulness," the steadfastness that does not depend on circumstances, the faithfulness that persists through failure and loss, and the collapse of what seemed most permanent, the compassion that does not fail, the mercies that are new each morning, even when the morning arrives in the ruins. If faithfulness has held through Jerusalem's ruins, through exile and loss, and the deep suffering of an ancient people, it will hold through what you are carrying tonight. This is not to minimize your situation by comparison, but to locate your situation within the larger story of divine faithfulness that has never once been broken, that has held through suffering, that would break a lesser love. The faithfulness you are trusting tonight is not untested. It has been tested in fire and found unbreakable. You are in good hands, and those hands have never yet dropped what they have promised to hold. Close your eyes more fully now, if they are not already closed. Let the darkness behind your eyelids be simply and naturally dark, the ordinary darkness of rest rather than anything threatening. This darkness is your friend tonight. It is the darkness of the womb before birth, the darkness of the earth before spring, the darkness of the seed underground before the root goes down and the shoot reaches up. Darkness in the natural order of things is not the end of growth, but often the condition for it. Things happen in the dark that cannot happen in the light. Rest happens in the dark. Restoration happens in the dark. The night is not your enemy. The night is a gift, another of the daily graces built into the design of the world for the benefit of the creatures who live in it. Every evening is an opportunity to practice surrender, to rehearse the release of control, to allow yourself to become still in the most natural and necessary way. And every morning is the answer to that surrender, the proof that the night held you safely, that you were kept through the hours of your stillness, that the one who does not sleep watched over your sleeping with unfailing care. In the second Psalm of Ascents, a brief and beautiful psalm among those pilgrim songs, there is this: "It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives sleep to his beloved." He gives sleep. Sleep is not just the absence of waking. In the psalmist's understanding, sleep is a gift specifically given to those who are beloved. The rest of the night is not something you achieve through sufficient exhaustion, but something given, something received as one receives any gift, with open hands and a grateful heart. You are his beloved. This word, beloved, which appears throughout Scripture and has particular tenderness in the writings of John, who calls himself the disciple whom Jesus loved, is not reserved for a spiritual elite or a particularly holy subset of followers. It is the word used for all who are in relationship with God through Christ, the word that describes the orientation of divine affection toward human beings. You are loved. You are beloved. The one who offers you rest tonight does not offer it to a stranger or an acquaintance. He offers it to someone he loves, someone for whom he has always had deep and particular affection. Think about what it means to receive something from someone who loves you. There is a different quality to a gift from a person who knows you and loves you than to something received from a stranger. The loved person's gift carries within it not just the material object, but the whole relationship, the history of care, the intention behind the giving, the particular knowledge of you that shaped the selection of the gift. When God gives rest to his beloved, it is a rest shaped by his perfect knowledge of your exact need. It is calibrated precisely to what you require. It is given from the fullness of love that knows you completely. Allow yourself to receive it. This is harder than it sounds for many people. Receiving grace is one of the most countercultural acts a person can perform in a world that measures worth by productivity and achievement and the ability to earn what you get. To simply receive, to hold out your hands and accept what is given without having done anything to merit it, requires a kind of spiritual humility that runs counter to the deep training of a performance-oriented world. But this is the shape of grace. It is given, not earned, received, not achieved, held with open hands, not clutched with anxious ones. Open your hands again in your imagination. Feel the weight of all you have been holding falling away from your open palms, not to the floor or the void, but into hands that are larger and stronger and more capable than yours. This is not abandonment. This is transfer. You are not leaving your concerns floating in unattended space. You are handing them to the one who has the capacity to hold them while you rest, who will not forget them or lose them or fail to care for them through the night. You can pick them up again in the morning if you need to, but you do not need to carry them through the dark. There is a trust exercise, sometimes used in building relationships between people, where one person falls backward and allows another person to catch them. It requires a complete release. You let go of your own capacity to keep yourself upright and rely entirely on the presence and intention and capability of the one standing behind you. The exercise only works with genuine release. Trust requires the full surrender, the complete willingness to be caught rather than to catch yourself. Tonight, you can fall backward into the arms of the one who never fails to catch. He will not drop you. This is not a reckless trust, but a trust grounded in the accumulated evidence of faithfulness, in the testimony of millions across millennia who have found that the arms were always there, that the catch was always certain, that no one who has fallen toward God has fallen past him into emptiness. The arms are real. The love is real. You can release your grip on your own upright posture and simply fall and be caught and rest. This is what sleep is, in its most honest spiritual sense, of falling backward into arms that are always there. Think of an olive grove in the evening light, somewhere in the hills above Jerusalem. the trees old and gnarled in the particular way of ancient olive trees, their silver green leaves catching and releasing the last light. The ground between the trees soft with fallen leaves, and the small flowers that grow in shade, a place of quietness, a place where the city's sounds do not easily reach, where the light filters through the leaves in the slow, shifting patterns that make time seem suspended. This is the kind of place Jesus often sought for prayer, the kind of place where the world's demands became momentarily distant and the soul could speak freely. The Garden of Gethsemane was such a place, and Jesus went there on the night before his death, not to escape what was coming, but to be present with his Father in the face of it. What he prayed there was utterly honest. If it is possible, let this cup pass from me. He did not pretend that the suffering ahead was easy or that he was untouched by its prospect. He brought his full humanity to that prayer, his real fear, his genuine longing for another way. And then, from within that honesty, he arrived at the most profound surrender ever spoken. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. That is the prayer at the center of the Christian life, not the prayer that pretends suffering is easy or that the will of God is always what we would choose if left to ourselves, but the prayer that arrives at surrender through honest struggle. Nevertheless, the word that holds both the honest admission and the final release. You can pray that prayer tonight in whatever form it takes in your particular circumstances. Not my will, but yours. This thing I wanted and did not receive. This outcome I feared and now must face. Nevertheless, yours. I trust the one who holds the nevertheless. There is a freedom in that prayer that cannot be found anywhere else. The freedom that comes from no longer needing to manage an outcome you cannot actually manage. The freedom of releasing the need to control what was never in your control to begin with. The freedom of entrusting the story of your life to the only author who can truly write it well, the one who sees its whole arc and knows its every thread and holds all its characters and circumstances with perfect knowledge and perfect love. Not my will, but yours. Let it be like breathing out, like setting something gently down. Your mind may be growing quieter now, the thoughts arriving less frequently, the spaces between them longer and more restful. This is good. The mind is beginning to do what it naturally wants to do in the quiet hours, loosening its grip on the day's content, allowing the day's experiences to settle into the deeper storage of sleep and memory and unconscious processing. You do not need to help this process. It is already happening. The mind knows how to let go when the body is still and the environment is safe and the heart has found its resting place. Imagine standing at the edge of a still lake in the very last light of day. The sky above you is the deep luminous blue-gray of late twilight, and the first stars are appearing one by one, each one a small and steady point of light in the vast expanse above. The surface of the lake is perfectly smooth, a mirror to the darkening sky, and you can see the stars beginning to appear there too, doubled in the water's reflection. The temperature has dropped just enough to be comfortable without being cold, and the air carries the clean mineral scent of the water and the faint sweetness of the grasses growing at the lake's edge. There is nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. No one expects anything from you in this particular moment. You are simply here, standing at the edge of the still water, watching the stars appear in the sky and in the lake simultaneously, this doubling of the heavens that happens when the water is calm enough to hold the reflection. And in this stillness, in this beautiful and unhurried moment, you hear again the words, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." They arrive not as urgency, but as warmth, not as demand, but as welcome. You have been coming to this place all your life, in one form or another. Every time you have sought stillness after the noise, every time you have turned towards something deeper when the surface of things felt insufficient, every time you have prayed even imperfectly, even uncertainly, even with more question than answer, every time you have opened the ancient words and let them wash over you, every time you have wept and felt that your weeping was heard somewhere by someone. These have all been movements toward this rest, turnings toward the still water, small acts of trust accumulating into a life of faith, and the still water has been moving toward you. This is the great mystery of grace. It does not wait passively for you to complete the journey of approach. It comes toward you. The shepherd leaves the 99 and searches. The father runs when he sees the son from a long way off. The Spirit intercedes for you with groanings too deep for words when you do not know how to pray. You are not left to make your way entirely on your own strength. The grace that you are turning toward is at the same time reaching toward you, and in every sincere moment of opening, the distance between you and rest grows smaller. There is no night so long that it has not eventually ended. There is no darkness so complete that it has overcome the light. The whole of Christian history, from the empty tomb that morning long ago, when darkness was expected and light instead broke through, bears witness to this. The night is not the final word. The dawn comes. The stone is rolled away. The story that seemed to end in loss turns out to be the turning point toward life. This is not a promise that your particular night will be short or that the dawn will come when you want it, but it is a promise that it comes, that the darkness does not win, that morning is always already on its way. Let that distant morning be a comfort to you tonight without requiring you to anticipate it anxiously. It will come on its own, in its own time. For now, the night is what it is, and the rest that the night makes possible is available to you in full. You do not need to push through to the dawn. You are allowed to rest in the night, to accept its darkness as gift rather than fighting it as obstacle. The night is doing its work on your behalf. The morning will announce itself when it is ready. Until then, this darkness is sufficient, and this rest is holy, and this stillness is exactly what you need. There is a refrain in the Psalms that appears multiple times across different psalms, a kind of anchor phrase that the ancient poets returned to repeatedly. Why are you cast down, O my soul, and why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my salvation and my God. This is the honest prayer of someone in genuine difficulty, someone whose soul is genuinely downcast, who is not pretending that everything is fine. And the direction the prayer turns toward is not resolution, but hope, not the answer to the turmoil, but the orientation of the soul toward the one who can hold both the turmoil and the one experiencing it. Hope is different from optimism. Optimism is a natural disposition toward expecting positive outcomes. Hope is a theological act, a choice to orient the soul toward a faithfulness that transcends visible evidence. You can hope when the evidence for optimism is thin. You can hope when the circumstances give you no particular reason to expect things to improve quickly. Hope is the declaration that the story is not over, that what you can see is not the whole of what is true, that the one who holds the final word is trustworthy even when the current word is hard. Hope is available to you tonight. It is not contingent on anything changing. Rest in that hope. Let it be the ground beneath your weariness, the solid floor below the water of your troubles. You may be sinking tonight, the way the psalmist felt he was sinking, the weight of things pulling him downward. But even in the sinking, even in the place where he cried out from the depths, the ground was there, the hope was there, the faithfulness that does not change with circumstances was there, and it is here for you now. In the depths of your tiredness, in the weight of what you carry, in the honest admission that you need something beyond your own strength, the ground is here. Jesus, in the 14th chapter of John's Gospel, speaks to his disciples about a house with many rooms. Do not let your hearts be troubled, he says. Trust in God, trust also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. I am going to prepare a place for you. These words are often read as a promise about what waits beyond this life, and they are that. But they are also something for tonight. A room prepared specifically for you, a place of belonging that was chosen and made ready by the one who knows exactly what you need. Not a generic waiting room, but a prepared place with you in mind, yours alone. You belong somewhere. You are not a wanderer without a destination, not a person without a home, not a soul floating untethered in a vast, indifferent universe. You belong to the one who made you. You have a place prepared for you. And even tonight, in whatever temporary accommodation this life provides, you are resting toward home. This is not your final place, but it is a safe place, and the one who made your final place is present with you here in this temporary one as well. He does not wait for you only at the destination. He walks the whole road with you. Let your body be completely heavy now. Let every muscle surrender its last held tension to the support beneath you. Your legs, your hips, your lower back, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your neck, the small muscles of your face, even the space behind your eyes. Let it all be soft. Let the effort of holding yourself go. You are not required to maintain your own shape in the night. You can be simply a breathing, resting, beloved creature, held by the earth and covered by the night, and known by the one who made the earth and the night both. The darkness behind your closed eyes is very deep now. Not threatening, but deep, like the deep blue of the ocean below where sunlight reaches. The deep that is peaceful rather than dangerous, because it is held within the larger order of things. You are in the deep of the night and the deep of rest, and the deep does not frighten you, because you know who holds the deep, who spoke to it in the beginning and called its waters into being, who set its boundaries and knew every creature that moved through it. The deep is in good hands. You are in the deep, and you are in good hands. There is a prayer from the Celtic Christian tradition, one of those ancient prayers from the edge of the world, where Christianity took root and grew in its own particular form, shaped by the long darkness of northern winters and the wild mercy of Atlantic skies. It is a prayer for the night, for the covering of sleep, for the keeping of the soul in the hours when the body is still. Encompass me, Lord. Hold me through the hours of darkness. Keep me safe in the night. The prayer assumes that keeping is necessary and that the one asked to keep is capable and willing. Both assumptions are correct. Both have always been correct. You are being kept tonight, not because you have been sufficiently righteous or adequately faithful or appropriately grateful, but because keeping is the nature of the one who keeps, because the love that holds you is not conditional on your performance of worthiness, because grace, by its definition, is not something merited, but something given, and what has been given cannot be taken back by your temporary failures of faith or courage or consistency. You were kept last night. You will be kept tonight. The keeping is reliable in a way that nothing in the ordinary world quite matches. Think now of very still water, a shallow pool somewhere in a garden, fed by a small spring that arrives so gently that the water's surface is barely disturbed. Around the pool, soft-leaved plants grow in the shade, their reflections wavering in the occasional breath of breeze. The sound of the spring is just barely audible, a quiet conversation between water and stone, the kind of sound that is more felt than heard, a frequency that the body recognizes as deeply calming. The air near water like this always feels slightly cooler and cleaner. You can breathe it fully and feel it reach into the deep parts of your lungs. Sit for a moment beside this still water, or lie beside it if your body prefers. The cool, damp grass soft beneath you. There is no urgency here. The garden is not going anywhere. The spring is not going to stop flowing. The shade is sufficient. The air is clean. And the presence you feel in this place is not a stranger. It is the shepherd, the Father, the one who said, "Come to me." And you have come. You have arrived. You have turned toward home, and home has come running toward you. And now here you are, here at last, beside the still water. Rest in this company for a while. You do not need to speak. You do not need to perform or explain or justify. The one beside you knows everything about you and has chosen to sit beside you anyway. And that choosing is itself the comfort, the fact that knowing you completely has not produced withdrawal but presence, that the full truth of you has been received and has not been found wanting by the only measure that ultimately matters. You are accepted. You are welcomed. You are in company that will not leave you through the night. There is a word in the Hebrew scriptures, hesed, that is one of the richest words in biblical theology. It is most often translated as loving kindness or steadfast love, but neither translation quite captures the full texture of the word. Hesed carries within it the combination of love and loyalty and reliability, the kind of love that is not merely an emotion, but a commitment, the kind that does not fade with circumstances or fluctuate with mood. It is the love that covenants, that binds itself, that says not just "I love you now," but "I will love you." And that promise is as solid as the character of the one who makes it. This hesed is what the Psalms return to again and again as the ground of their hope in moments of darkness. His hest endures forever. The refrain of Psalm 136 repeats this declaration after every item in a long catalog of God's works, from creation to deliverance to provision, each one followed by the same insistent affirmation: His steadfast love endures forever. Whatever changes, whatever fails, whatever falls apart in the ordinary world, this remains. His hest endures. The love that has committed itself to you does not expire. It does not have a use by date. It will not run out tonight while you are sleeping. You can sleep inside the protection of Hesed tonight. Sleep inside the steadfast love that does not waver, inside the loyalty that is not disrupted by your imperfection, inside the kindness that is tender rather than brittle, that bends toward you in your weariness rather than away. This love is your covering in the night, your warmth through the dark hours. It holds not just the contours of your body, but the contours of your story, every difficult chapter, and every unfinished sentence, every moment of beauty, and every moment of failure. It holds all of it, and in holding all of it, it holds you. The night is very quiet now. Even in your mind, the quietness is growing, the thoughts arriving less frequently and with less insistence, the noise of the day receding further into the distance. Something is settling. Some part of you that has been braced for a very long time is beginning, slowly and carefully, to ease. This is a fragile process, and it does not need your management. Simply allow it. Simply continue to breathe slowly and to let the words of rest move through you like water through soil, not producing anything dramatic, but permeating, saturating, reaching parts of you that were dry and brittle. I will give you rest. He said it, and He means it, and He has the capacity to do what He says. Not rest as the world gives, dependent on circumstances aligning favorably. Not rest that lasts only until the next problem arrives. Rest that goes all the way down to the roots of who you are, that reaches the places where the deepest tiredness lives, that restores what has been depleted, not just in this one night, but across the long arc of your weariness. This is the rest of the soul, restored by the shepherd who knows exactly where the still water is, and the green pasture, and the path toward restoration. The shepherd in Psalm 23 is not a distant figure issuing directions from afar. He leads. He leads beside still waters. He leads in paths of righteousness. He accompanies through the valley of shadow. Leading beside is walking with. The shepherd does not point toward the still water and tell the sheep to find their own way. He goes with them. He knows the terrain. He knows where the good water is and where the treacherous ground lies, and how to navigate from one to the other. And in the going with, the sheep are not just directed toward rest, but accompanied into it, guided all the way to the water's edge. You are being accompanied into your rest tonight. Every word of this hour has been a kind of accompanying, a walking alongside in the direction of stillness, toward the still water where the soul can be restored. You have not been walking alone, and in the deeper rest that is approaching now, the sleep that waits just ahead of where you are, you will not be alone either. The shepherd who walks with you through the day walks with you through the night. In the unconscious hours, the care continues. The keeping does not stop when you lose consciousness. Let the watch be maintained now while you rest. Let the vigilance that has been yours to carry through the days be transferred for these hours to the one who never grows weary of watching. Let your mind release its grip on the monitoring it has been doing, the constant low-level survey of concerns and things that need to be tracked. You can let go of the monitoring. The world will continue to be held in far more capable hands than yours during the hours when you cannot hold it at all. Rest in that reality. Rest in the goodness of the one who holds everything while you sleep. There is grace in the very smallness of your power over the world. In a world that glorifies control and self-sufficiency, the honest acknowledgement of how little we actually control is experienced as vulnerability, as something to be hidden or overcome. But it is also, when received rightly, an enormous relief. You are not responsible for holding the world together. It was not held together by you before you arrived, and it will not require your constant effort to remain held. The one who holds it is not you. You are a beloved creature within it, and beloved creatures are allowed to sleep. Sleep is coming now, like the tide coming in, slow and inevitable and gentle. You can feel it at the edges of your consciousness, the slight thickening of the air between your thoughts, the way your awareness of the room has softened and pulled back to something less precise. This is the approach of rest, the body's final preparations for the surrender of sleep. You do not need to welcome it anxiously or reach for it effortfully. It comes on its own. You have only to let it come. You have only to stop preventing it. You have only to open your hands. All your thoughts are growing softer now, losing their sharp edges, floating rather than staying grounded. This is natural. This is right. The thoughts of the day have done their work, and they are releasing their hold. Tomorrow, they will be available to you again, fresh from the night's storage, ready to be picked up and worked with in the new light. But right now, they are setting themselves down, one by one, the way the last birds find their branches as the evening darkens. And the day's flying is complete, everything finding its place for the night, everything settling, and you too are finding your place in this bed, in this particular night. It is the right place. It is where you are supposed to be in this moment, the place that has been prepared for you in the most immediate and practical sense, the physical place of rest that is your gift for this night. Receive it. Let the mattress hold you. Let the pillow support your head. Let the darkness cover you. Let the warmth settle around you like something given rather than something achieved. You are in the right place. You are exactly where you need to be. This moment is sufficient. You are sufficient. The words come one more time, softly, like a breath, like the last sound before sleep. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. You have come. You are here. The weariness is known, and it is met with something that does not require you to be anything other than what you are. You have arrived at the still water. You are in the company of the shepherd. You are in the arms of the Father who ran toward you. You are held by a love that will not let you go. And the rest that was promised, the rest that is a gift, the rest that goes all the way to the roots of the soul, this rest is yours. It is given. It is real. And it is here. It is yours right now. Not tomorrow. Not after the problems are resolved or the fears are gone or the burdens have been sufficiently processed. Right now, in the midst of all of it, with all of it still present and still real. The rest is offered, and the rest is received, and the rest is flowing into every tired place in you like clear water, finding its way into dry ground. You are being watered, you are being held, you are being restored by the one who promised to restore, by the one whose promises have never once been broken, by the one who loves you with a love that is stronger than everything that has made you weary. Breathe one more slow breath. Feel the air come in and fill you, and then let it go completely, trusting that the next breath will come without your striving. It always has. It will now. The body breathes, and the shepherd keeps, and the love holds, and the night does its quiet, holy work of restoration. And you are safe, you are loved, you are held, and you can rest now, fully, completely, without reservation. The day is done, the night is here, and through the night and into the morning, you are not alone. Let your eyes be completely still. Let your face be soft, every small muscle releasing the expression of the day. The thoughts that are still present will drift further and further apart until the spaces between them are larger than the thoughts themselves, until you are floating in the spaces, in the quiet in between, in the place where consciousness thins and rest waits just below. You are nearly there. The border between waking and sleep is very close now, and on the other side of it, nothing is required of you at all. Nothing, only rest. Nothing is required of you at all. Not effort, not understanding, not spiritual performance, not even prayer in the formed and worded sense. Only this openness, this quiet willingness to be still and to receive. You have been received. The door has been open all along, the door through which the weary and the burdened are always welcome, the door that has no lock because nothing that makes you weary can disqualify you from walking through it. You are inside now. You have come in. And inside there is rest, real and deep and freely given, and it is yours, and you are welcomed, and you are loved, and you can sleep now in complete and utter peace. The stars above, wherever you are, whether you can see them through a window or whether the roof and the walls stand between you and the sky, the stars are there. The same stars that shone over Galilee while Jesus prayed on hillsides, the same constellations that ancient shepherds used to navigate the night, the same heavens that the psalmist looked up at and declared the glory of God. They are there above you now, in their ancient and faithful places, the night sky doing what it has always done, holding its quiet testimony to the vastness and reliability of the one who set them in place. You are small in the right way tonight. Small not in the diminished sense, not small in the way of being insignificant, but small in the way of being held within something much larger than yourself. Small the way a child is small when held by a parent, the smallness that is also protection, also belonging, also the trust that comes from knowing you do not need to be large enough to hold yourself. You are held. The vastness above you and around you is not threatening, but protective, not empty, but inhabited by the love that made it and fills it and keeps it faithful. Rest now. Let the words go. Let the images go. Let even the thoughts about resting go. Simply be in the quiet, in the stillness, in the dark. Simply breathe. Simply let yourself be small and held and loved and still. The one who promised rest is good at keeping promises. The rest that was promised is here, It has been here all along, waiting for exactly this moment, this surrender, this quiet opening of the heart to what it needs. It is here. It is real. It is yours. And you need not reach for it any further because it is already, even now, flowing into you like water filling a cup, like warmth finding cold hands, like peace finding a heart that has finally stopped resisting the peace it was always meant to have. In this moment, there is nothing between you and rest. No more words needed, no more distance to cross. The shepherd is present. The still water is here. The pasture is green, and the evening is soft, and the day is done, and the night is safe, and the love is real, and the rest is given, and the arms are open, and you are welcomed, and you are known. You are loved beyond what any of these words can fully say, loved with the love that went to the cross and came back from the tomb and has been reaching toward you every day of your life, that reaches toward you even now in this moment of your greatest tiredness, in the exact shape of what you most need, which is simply this: rest. Come to me. Rest. You are here, and it is enough, and you are loved, and all is well. The water is still, the night is gentle, the arms are sure, and you can sleep. You are lying in the stillness now, and the world outside is continuing its quiet work without you, the way it always has and always will, turning on its axis at exactly the speed it has always turned, the moon continuing its arc above the clouds or below them, the night air moving gently over rooftops and through the branches of trees, and none of it requires your attention or your effort. The world is not waiting for you to manage it. It is held by hands far more capable and far less tired than yours, and in this knowledge there is a profound and settling relief. Think of how many nights have come before this one, the countless thousands of nights stretching back through the whole of your life, each one a gift of rest offered by the same faithful source, each one a bridge between one day and the next, each one a small miracle of restoration that happened while you were unconscious and unable to take any credit for it. You have been maintained through all those nights. You have been kept and cared for and brought through to morning after morning. And tonight will be no different. The keeping is consistent. The care is reliable. The morning will come. There is something the night does to the heart that the day cannot do. In the day, the demands are constant, and the stimulation is high, and the noise of the world creates a kind of static that makes the deeper things hard to hear. But in the night, when the demands have retreated, and the stimulation has quieted, and the static has faded, there is a frequency that becomes audible, something that was there all along, but could not be heard above the daytime noise. It is the low, steady sound of being loved, the constant hum of being held, the frequency of a care that does not stop. You are in that frequency right now. You are resting inside the sound of being loved, even if you cannot consciously hear it the way you hear sound with your ears. It is there. It has been there every moment of your life, every sleeping hour, and every waking one, even the ones when you felt most alone, even the ones when you wondered if anything was listening. The wondering was real, and the loneliness was real, and also real, underneath all of it, was the love that does not depend on being felt in order to be present, the love that is there even when you cannot access it. A gentle breeze is the image that comes now, very soft, the kind of breeze that moves through an open window in the night and cools the skin just slightly and carries with it the faint scent of whatever grows outside, grass or flowers, or the clean smell of rain that fell hours ago. You can feel it or imagine it, that slight coolness on your face, the way it moves through the room without disturbing anything, disturbing nothing, only refreshing everything it touches. This is what the Spirit is sometimes likened to in the Scriptures, a wind that you cannot see, that you cannot control or direct, that moves where it wishes, and whose sound you hear, but whose origin and destination remain beyond your knowing. The Spirit that moved over the face of the deep at the beginning of creation, that hovered over the formless void before the first light was spoken into being. That same Spirit hovers over this room tonight, over this bed, over this person lying in the dark, with all their particular history, and their particular weariness, and their particular need, the Spirit that has been at work in the world since before time began, has not grown tired of being at work, has not decided that the work is too difficult or the material too resistant. The Spirit continues its gentle and persistent labor of renewal in every willing and open heart. Your heart is willing enough tonight, even if the willingness is thin, even if it is mostly just the exhaustion that has finally stopped resisting. That is enough. Willingness in the spiritual life does not have to be robust or enthusiastic or fully committed. Sometimes willingness is simply the absence of resistance, the moment when you stop running away from what you need, the moment when the fight goes out of you and you simply allow what was always being offered. Tonight you are allowing. Tonight you are receiving. Tonight you are willing in the only way that matters, which is the real and actual way. There is an image in the book of Revelation, in one of its most tender and domestic moments, of Jesus standing at a door and knocking. He does not force the door. He does not shout or pound or demand entry. He stands outside and he knocks gently and persistently, and he says, "Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with them, and they with me." It is the image of an invitation accepted by a quiet act, not a dramatic conversion, but a simple opening, a turning of the handle, a choosing to let in what has been waiting. You have opened the door tonight. Perhaps you opened it only a little, perhaps just a crack, but that is enough. The one outside the door does not need a wide open entrance to come in. He does not need you to be at your best or most ready or most spiritually impressive. He needs only the crack of willingness, the small opening of the tired heart that says, "Yes, come in. I am not able to keep this up. I need what you are offering. I do not have the strength to refuse your rest any longer." And from that crack of willingness, the warmth begins to enter, and the warmth is real. There is a specific quality to the peace that Jesus offers that distinguishes it from all other kinds of peace. It is not the peace that comes from problems being absent. It is not the peace of a person who has no difficulties or no questions or no grief. It is something Jesus himself distinguished when he said, "Peace I give you, not as the world gives." The world's peace is circumstantial. It depends on things going well, on the news being good, on the relationships being smooth, on the health being sound. The world's peace evaporates when those conditions change. But the peace Jesus gives is of a different kind entirely. It is the peace that Paul describes in Philippians as surpassing all understanding, the peace that stands guard over the heart and mind in Christ Jesus. Surpassing understanding means it does not operate by the logic of circumstances. It does not compute. It makes no sense according to the ordinary equations by which peace is calculated. It should not be present in certain situations, and yet it is. It should not be available to people who are suffering or afraid or in the middle of genuine difficulty, and yet it is available, and it is real, and thousands of people in the darkest circumstances of their lives have found it to be exactly what it is described as being. You can have this peace tonight, not because your circumstances have changed or because your burdens have been lifted in the visible and tangible sense, but because the source of this peace is not circumstances but presence, and the presence is here. The presence that offers peace surpassing understanding is in this room at this hour, attending to you with the same completeness with which it attends to every corner of creation simultaneously. You are not sharing the attention with others. You are receiving it fully. The infinite attention of an infinite love, fully present to you specifically, right now, in this bed, in this night. Let that infinite attention be a comfort rather than a pressure. Sometimes when we become aware of being seen, we tighten, we perform, we try to present our best self. But the seeing of God is not the seeing of evaluation or judgment. It is the seeing of intimate knowing and unconditional love, the kind of seeing that a parent does when they look at a sleeping child, not looking for problems or failures, but simply beholding with love. You are being beheld with love right now. You do not need to present a face or a performance or a version of yourself that is acceptable. You are already accepted. You are already loved. You are already beheld. The word behold appears throughout the scriptures at moments of particular significance, moments when what is being seen is so important or so beautiful that the ordinary word for seeing is insufficient. Behold, the Lamb of God. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Behold, I make all things new. Each of these beholds points to something extraordinary, something that changes everything, something so significant that it requires the full attention of all who witness it, and in a quiet way that is not less real for being quiet. The same word could be spoken over you tonight. Behold, this beloved one, resting in the night, held in the hands of love. The gentle evening light has deepened now into the full dark of night, the stars firmly established in their ancient places, the air cooler and stiller and more deeply quiet. If you were to look up through a clear night sky right now, you would be seeing light that left its source years or decades or thousands or millions of years ago. Light that has been traveling faithfully through the darkness this entire time and has only now arrived at your eyes. The faithfulness of that light is staggering, the way it keeps traveling through darkness without anyone to encourage it or reward it, simply doing what light does, moving outward from its source. The love of God is something like that light. It left its source long ago, before the world began, before time was measured, in the eternal nature of a God who is love in the most essential and irreducible sense, and it has been traveling toward you ever since, through every circumstance and season of your life, through every dark period and every bright one, through every moment when you were aware of it and every moment when you were not. It has been making its way toward you with a faithfulness that needs no encouragement, no reward, no favorable conditions. It simply comes because it is in the nature of this love to come. And tonight it has arrived at you fully and completely, with everything it set out to carry still intact. The love that left its source long ago is here in this room with you. It has not diminished in the traveling. It has not been diluted by the distance or the time. It is as full and complete as it was at the source, because the source has not been diminished either. You are receiving the full, undiminished love of an eternal and abundant God. This is not a metaphor. This is the claim of the Christian faith, and it is offered to you tonight as real and solid and available as the floor beneath the bed and the air inside your lungs. In the simplest and most direct way, you are loved. You are loved tonight. In the complicated and unresolved condition of your life as it actually is, with all the things that are not yet healed and not yet decided and not yet understood, you are loved. The love is not contingent on the resolution of those things. It does not require them to be sorted before it can be received. It is available right now, in the middle of the unresolved, in the heart of the difficulty, in the depth of the weariness. Now, here, you loved. Perhaps there are old voices somewhere in your memory that say otherwise. Voices that attached conditions to love when you were too young and too dependent to question them. Voices that suggested you had to earn your worth or prove your value or maintain a certain standard in order to be acceptable. These voices are not telling the truth. They were not telling the truth then either, though they may have felt like truth because they came from people whose opinion mattered enormously to you. But they were not the truth. The truth is this: you have always been loved without condition. You have always been enough. Let those old voices be very gently set aside tonight, not with force or condemnation, but simply with the quiet replacement of a truer voice. The voice that says, "You are mine. You have always been mine. I knew you before you were born, and I loved you before you had done anything to deserve love. My love for you is not based on your performance or your appearance or your success or your consistency. My love for you is based on the fact that you exist and that I made you and that everything I make is loved. That is the truth. That is the voice, and it is speaking tonight into every place where a lesser voice has left its mark. There is healing in the night that is not like the healing of the day. The day heals through action, through choices made, and relationships tended, and wrongs addressed, and plans laid. The night heals through a different mechanism entirely, through the surrender of activity, through the cessation of striving, through the quiet process of restoration that happens only in stillness. Both kinds of healing are real. Both are necessary. The night's healing is no less significant for being invisible. The root goes down in the dark. The seed germinates in the dark. The healing happens in the dark. Your spirit is being healed tonight in the dark, in ways you cannot monitor or measure or take any credit for. The healing is happening because the healer is present and the recipient is still, and the conditions are right. You do not need to understand the mechanism or track the progress or verify the result. You need only to be still and to trust. The stillness you are practicing now is not passive or empty. It is the active posture of receiving, the open-handed willingness to let what is being given be given, to allow what is already flowing to continue flowing. Flow is the right word for this kind of grace. It does not arrive in single dramatic moments only, though it can do that. Mostly it flows steadily and gently and continuously, the way a small spring flows, always replenishing, never dramatic, always present, always reliable. You can go to the same spring every morning and find it flowing. You can go in the evening when you are tired and depleted and find it still flowing. You can go in the worst season of your life and find that it has not stopped, that the drought that dried up everything else has not been able to dry this up, because its source is deeper than any drought can reach. This is the spring Jesus offers when he says that whoever drinks the water he gives will never thirst again, that the water he gives will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life. He spoke these words to a woman at a well, a Samaritan woman who had come to draw water in the heat of the day, alone at an hour when most people avoided the well. She came alone because her life had been difficult and her reputation was complicated, and the company of other women at the morning water drawing was not a comfort available to her. She came in the heat, alone, and found Jesus sitting at the well. He asked her for water. She was surprised because the social divisions of the time suggested he should not have spoken to her at all. And from that surprising beginning, a conversation unfolded that went deeper and deeper, Jesus speaking to her about living water, about worship in spirit and truth, about the Messiah who was coming. And then he told her things about her own life that he should not have been able to know, things she had not told him, the specific and private details of a life lived under the weight of her own particular burden. And she was not condemned for those things. She was simply seen. She was simply seen and told the truth and offered living water, and the exchange transformed her. She went back into her town and said, "Come, see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Messiah?" And they came, and they listened, and many believed. All of this beginning at a well in the heat of the day, with a woman who came alone because she was carrying a burden that isolated her, and found instead a presence that saw her completely and offered her something that would never run dry. That offer is extended to you tonight. Come, drink. The living water is available. It does not require you to be unencumbered before you approach. You can approach exactly as you are, burdened and weary and complicated and real. You can come with your history fully present and your doubts fully present and your aching fully present, and none of it will disqualify you from the water. None of it will cause the spring to stop. The spring flows for the burdened as freely as it flows, for the unburdened, perhaps even more freely, because the need is greater, and the mercy is calibrated to the need. If you are deeply thirsty tonight, the water is very available to you. If you are very tired, the rest is very near. The need itself opens you to the provision. Think for a moment about the specific texture of your tiredness tonight, not to dwell on it or multiply it, but simply to name it honestly before the one who already knows it. Is it the tiredness of effort, of having tried so hard for so long, that the effort itself has become exhausting? Is it the tiredness of waiting, of hoping for something that has not yet come, of maintaining hope in the face of delay? Is it the tiredness of grief, the particular weariness that follows loss, the way sorrow settles into the body like weight that the muscles were not designed to carry? Is it the tiredness of worry, the exhaustion of a mind that has been running on the treadmill of anxiety? Whatever the texture of your tiredness, it is held in the words, all who are weary, not some, not those whose tiredness meets a certain standard, all. Your specific and particular weariness is included. Your unique variety of burden is covered. The word all was chosen, presumably with exactly this in mind, so that no one lying in the night with their specific and private exhaustion would feel that their particular case was perhaps an exception. You are not an exception. You are included. All means you. And the promise that follows all is not a conditional promise. It does not say, I will give you rest if you come correctly, or if you approach with sufficient faith, or if you have resolved the things that have kept you away from rest before. The promise is simply, I will give you rest. The giving is as unconditional as the invitation. Come as you are, with whatever you are carrying, and the rest will be given, not earned, given. This is the nature of a gift, that it is given freely, and the one who receives it needs bring nothing but the need itself and the willingness to receive. Willingness to receive is perhaps the most spiritual act we can perform. In a world that values giving and earning and achieving, the act of receiving is surprisingly difficult for many people. It requires the acknowledgement of need, which requires a humility that runs against the grain of self-sufficiency. It requires trust, the belief that what is being offered is real and that the giver's motives are good. It requires the release of control, because you cannot direct a gift the way you can direct a product you have purchased. Receiving is its own form of courage, its own form of faith, and it is what tonight is asking of you. You are practicing it now. With every breath that you allow to come and go without managing it, with every thought you allow to pass without chasing it, with every moment of stillness you accept instead of filling it with activity, with every word of rest that you let land in you instead of deflecting it with the busy armor of a mind that has been trained to stay in motion. All of this is receiving. All of it is the open hand. All of it is the posture of the beloved disciple who leaned against Jesus at the Last Supper, not asking anything, not saying anything, simply resting against the one he loved. John, the disciple Jesus loved, has given us in the gospel. He wrote one of the most intimate pictures of discipleship anywhere in Scripture, the image of a person who was so settled in the love he had received that he could simply rest in the presence of the beloved, not always asking, not always speaking, not always performing devotion or demonstrating spiritual credentials, simply resting, simply being in the presence of the one he loved and trusted. The reclining posture at a meal was a posture of total ease, total belonging, total acceptance of one's own welcome at the table. You are welcome at the table. You can recline. The table has been set for you in the presence of your enemies, as the psalmist famously put it, which is to say, the table is set in the midst of life, as it actually is, not in some imagined future state where all the difficulties have been resolved, and all the enemies have been vanquished. The table is here now, in the middle of everything, and there is food on it, and your place is marked, and you are not just tolerated at this table, but specifically welcomed, specifically hosted, given the oil and the cup that overflow with the abundance of a host who has more than enough to give. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. These are the images of a feast, of hospitality extended with extravagance, of a guest who is honored rather than merely accommodated. This is how the psalmist understood the care he received, as feasting rather than rationing, as abundance rather than sufficiency, as the overflow of a generosity that had no bottom. Your cup will overflow. Perhaps it does not feel like that tonight. Perhaps the cup feels closer to empty than to full, but the one who holds the cup is not done filling it. The abundance is still coming. The oil has not run out. There is a quality of trust that develops over time, not suddenly or dramatically, but gradually, through the accumulation of small reliabilities, the daily evidence of a faithfulness that shows up even in the unremarkable moments. The trust you can have tonight is not the product of a single great proof, but the fruit of a long history, the history of morning after morning, arriving as promised, of provision appearing in the ordinary moments of the ordinary days, of being brought through things you did not know you could survive. This trust has been earned, and it is yours, and it can hold you tonight. When you look back over your life honestly, there are places where you can see that something held you when your own grip failed, that something provided when your own resources ran out, that something brought you through a season you did not think you would survive. These are not random coincidences. They are the evidence of the faithfulness that has been running alongside your life the whole time, sometimes visible and sometimes hidden, but never absent. The evidence is there if you look for it. And tonight, rather than looking at the weight of what is difficult, you can rest in the evidence of what has been faithful. Goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. These are the final words of the 23rd Psalm before the closing declaration of eternal dwelling in the house of the Lord. Goodness and mercy following, not leading, following, coming behind, there behind you all the days, the long procession of your days, stretching back from where you are now, all of them trailed by goodness and mercy that you may or may not have noticed, but that were there nonetheless. All the days, even the hardest ones, even the ones that felt entirely empty of grace, the goodness and mercy were there. They were following, and they will follow you into tomorrow and the day after and the day after that, into all the uncharted territory of your future that you cannot yet see. Goodness and mercy following all the days of your life. This is the promise. Not that every day will be easy, or that mercy will spare you all difficulty, but that goodness and mercy will be present in every day, following faithfully, available to be experienced by those who look for them. You can look for them. Even in the hard days, goodness and mercy can be found. Even in the longest nights, they are there, patient and faithful, waiting to be received. The night is deep around you now, the deep of the middle hours, and somewhere in that depth something is shifting, not dramatically, not with any fanfare, but quietly and surely. the way a tide turns somewhere out at sea before the change is visible at the shore. Something in you is turning. Some tightly held tension is releasing. Some corner of the heart that has been locked for protection is, very slowly, opening. This is the work of the night, the work of the stillness, the work of the patient and persistent presence that waits without pressure for exactly this kind of quiet opening. You do not need to track or manage the opening. You do not need to measure it or ensure it is happening correctly. It is happening in the way that organic things happen, at their own pace, according to their own wisdom, in response to the conditions of warmth and safety and the presence of what they need. A closed bud does not force itself to open. It simply responds to the light and the warmth, and in responding, it opens, and in opening, it becomes what it was always meant to be. You are responding tonight to the warmth, to the light, to the love that is present and patient and not in any hurry. The invitation to come was spoken by Jesus not as a one-time offer, but as a standing one. The verb in the original is an imperative present, which in the Greek grammatical tradition suggests ongoing and repeated action. Come, keep coming, continue coming. Every time you are weary, come again. Every time the burdens accumulate again, come again. Every time the fears reassemble and the worries return and the load becomes heavy again, come again. The invitation does not expire. It does not have a closing date. Every night is a new opportunity to accept what has been offered since the first time the words were spoken. This is perhaps the most quietly revolutionary aspect of Jesus' invitation. It assumes that you will need to come more than once. It does not promise that you will come once and be permanently fixed, permanently rested, permanently unburdened. It acknowledges the recurring nature of human need, the way weariness returns, the way burdens accumulate, the way we need the still water, not just once, but again and again and again. And rather than judging this recurring need as failure, it builds the provision around it. Come again. The spring does not close because you have drunk from it before. Come again tonight. If you have been here before and found rest before, and then found yourself needing rest again, that is not a failure of the previous rest. It is the nature of the human life, the natural cycle of depletion and restoration that is built into the design of creatures who live in time, who work and give and love, and are affected by a world that makes demands. The spring is here again. The invitation is here again. The rest is available again. Come. In the 12th chapter of Hebrews, the writer speaks of a great cloud of witnesses, the company of those who have gone before in faith, who have run the race of their own lives and finished it, who now from their vantage point above and beyond the ordinary world surround those who are still running with the weight of their witness. You are not running alone. You are surrounded by the testimony of those who trusted when trust was difficult, who hoped when hope seemed unreasonable, who rested in the faithfulness of God when the visible evidence was thin, and who found in that faithfulness everything they needed. Their witness reaches you tonight. The faith of the martyrs and the mystics and the ordinary men and women who simply got up every morning and tried to live faithfully and lay down every night in the arms of grace, all of them are part of the cloud that surrounds you. You are connected to a company that stretches back to the earliest days of human faith and reaches forward to the end of time, all of them held by the same faithfulness that holds you, all of them brought through by the same mercy that brings you through. You are not alone. You are in the company of the whole family of faith, and the center of that faith, the one toward whom all the faith in the history of the world has been directed, is here, in this room, in this night, attending to you with the same focus and love and care that attended to the woman at the well and the bent woman in the synagogue and the disciples in the storm and the lonely son on the long road home. He is the same. He does not change. The love that reached out to each of those people in their particular need reaches out to you now in yours. The same hands that touched the sick and healed them, that broke the bread and fed the multitudes, that stilled the storm, are extended toward you in this quiet room on this ordinary night. Ordinary nights are where most of the real things happen, not on the mountaintops of dramatic spiritual experience, but in the regular, unremarkable, quiet darkness of ordinary nights like this one, in the ordinariness of lying down when you are tired, in the simplicity of breathing in and breathing out, in the small but real act of choosing to trust rather than to worry, to receive rather than to strive, to rest rather than to keep running. These are the moments that build a life of faith, the small repeated choices made in ordinary darkness, each one a small act of trust in the one who asked you to come. And you have come again and again in all the different nights of your life, in all the different shapes your tiredness has taken. You have come, even imperfectly, even uncertainly, even when you were not sure what you were coming toward or whether anything was really there. You have been coming, and what you have been coming toward has been receiving you every time, faithfully and without condition, with the same steady love that never takes a night off and never grows tired of receiving those who come in need. The gentleness of this love is one of its most important qualities. It is not demanding or insistent or pushy. It does not shout or press or overwhelm. It waits. It invites. It maintains the posture of welcome without forcing entry. It speaks quietly enough that only those who are willing to be still can hear it. This gentleness is not weakness. It is a choice made by the one who has all the power and chooses to use none of it as force. The one who stilled the sea with a word could have imposed rest on every weary person who ever lived. Instead, he invites. Instead, he says, "Come." The choice is left to you. And you are here. You have chosen. Learn from me, Jesus says in the verses that follow the invitation of Matthew 11:28. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. He describes himself. He tells you who it is you are coming to. Not a demanding taskmaster, not a distant and exacting deity, gentle, humble. The qualities he names are not the qualities of power and greatness as the world defines them. They are the qualities of the servant who washed the feet of the disciples, who touched lepers when touching them was not done, who lifted up the bent and the broken and the overlooked. Gentle, humble, come to him. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. These words follow the description of his gentleness and humility. The yoke he offers is easy, not because following him demands nothing, but because he carries the weight of it alongside you, A yoke is designed for two. It distributes the load between two working together, and the one bearing the yoke with you, Jesus says, is gentle, is humble, is not going to drive you beyond your strength or demand more than you can give or leave you to bear more than your share. The burden he gives you is light because he carries the heavier portion himself. What is the burden he offers you in exchange for the ones you have brought to him tonight? Not a burden in the heavy sense, but an orientation, a direction, a simple way of living in the world that is shaped by love and trust rather than by striving and fear. Come to me, learn from me, walk with me, be yoked to me. These are not complex or demanding instructions. They are an invitation into relationship, into the kind of daily companionship in which the difficult things become lighter because they are shared, in which the uncertain paths become navigable, because you are not walking them alone. You are not walking alone. You have never been walking alone, even in the most isolated and forgotten moments. This is the claim of the faith and the testimony of the faithful and the quiet truth that has been underneath your life all along, waiting to be received, waiting for a moment like this when the noise is quiet enough and the guard is down enough and the heart is open enough to simply let it be true. You are not alone. You have never been alone. The one who made you walks with you. Tonight, through the night, into the morning, all the days of your life. Feel that truth in your body if you can, not just in your mind. Let it settle into your chest and your shoulders and your hands and your belly. Let it be a physical reality, a warmth that spreads from the center of you outward to the extremities, a relaxing of the held places, a softening of the braced ones. You are not alone. Let your muscles know it. Let your nervous system receive it. Let the very cells of your body settle into the reality of being held and accompanied and loved. This is not imagination. This is the most real thing there is. The most real thing there is love, not things, not accomplishments, not the products of effort or the accumulation of security or the achievements that the world measures and rewards. Love is the most real thing, the thing that will outlast everything else, the thing that was present before the first moment and will be present after the last one. And you are surrounded by it tonight. You are inside it. You are being held by it. This is where you live, whether you feel it or not, whether you know it or not, whether you have been able to receive it or not. You live inside love. That is the reality you are resting in tonight. There is a light that is coming for you that is not the light of day. It is the light that Paul describes in 2 Corinthians, the light that illuminates the face of Jesus Christ, the light that shines in the dark places, not because the dark places have been made comfortable, but because the light is stronger than the dark. This light does not dispel all shadow immediately. It does not eliminate all difficulty, but it illuminates enough that you can see the next step, and the next, and the one after that. A lamp for my feet, the psalmist calls it, not a floodlight for the whole journey, but a lamp. One step at a time, that is enough. For tonight, the lamp is not even necessary. Tonight, you do not need to see the next step, or figure out the path, or navigate the way forward. Tonight, you only need to be still. Tomorrow, the lamp will be lit, and the path will be visible, and the next step will be clear enough to take. But tonight is a night for resting, not for walking, and the one who provides the lamp for walking also provides the rest for resting, and both are gifts, and both are given generously, and both are available to you in full. Let tomorrow be tomorrow. Let the concerns that belong to it remain there in the future where they live, rather than dragging them into the present night where they do not belong. Tomorrow will have its own grace and its own provision and its own lamp for its own path. Tonight has its own grace, which is rest, and its own provision, which is peace, and its own lamp, which is the steady and quiet presence of the love that does not leave. This is sufficient. This is enough. Tonight is enough. You're enough. The night is doing its work. Lead it. Your eyelids are heavy now, or if they are not, your awareness is becoming soft and indistinct at the edges, less sharp in the way that the mind becomes less sharp as sleep approaches. The thinking becomes more dreamlike, associations looser, the strict logic of the waking mind beginning to relax into the more fluid and nonlinear workings of the mind that is approaching sleep. This is good. This is the mind and body moving together toward the rest they both need. Let them move. You do not need to hold them back. You do not need to stay sharp right now. Softness is what this moment requires. Soft is what the night is. Soft is what the air is in the gentle darkness. Soft is the light that the moon gives when it is visible, and soft is the utter darkness when it is not. Soft are the sounds of the sleeping world, the distant traffic, the occasional voice or creak of the building settling, the sounds that are so familiar they have become a kind of white noise, a background music of the ordinary world that has ceased to demand attention and simply is. Soft is the breath moving in and out of you, soft and steady and faithful, the rhythm you will carry into sleep and carry through it, and wake with on the other side. The other side of tonight is morning, and morning will arrive in its own time, not requiring your help or your wakefulness to come. You can trust morning to come on its own. You can entrust it to the faithfulness that has brought every morning across the entire history of the world, without a single exception, without a single morning that failed to arrive. The sun has risen every day since the beginning of the sun. It will rise tomorrow, and you will meet it restored by the rest of this night, renewed by the healing that happens in the dark, equipped by the sleep that God gives to the beloved. You are the beloved. Say it quietly to yourself if you can, not as a performance, but as a gentle acknowledgement of what is true. I am the beloved, not because I have earned it, not because I have been good enough, because I was made by love and am held by love and will be received by love, and there is nothing I can do to change that fundamental reality. I am the beloved. This is what the voice at the baptism of Jesus declared over him. You are my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased, and through our union with Christ, through the mystery of belonging to him, the same declaration is made over us. You are beloved, you are pleasing, you are received. Let that declaration settle somewhere very deep in you tonight, past the surface of your immediate awareness and into the deeper layers where the most formative beliefs about yourself live. Past the voice that says, you are not enough. Past the fear that you might be fundamentally unlovable. Past the shame that suggests your particular life has disqualified you from the love that is available to others. Past all of that, into the deepest place where the truth can take root and grow slowly and quietly until it changes the shape of everything above it. I am beloved, God's beloved, tonight, always, without condition. The roots go down in the dark. The seed germinates in the dark. The most important growth is the growth that happens invisibly, in the places no one can see, in the seasons when nothing appears to be happening on the surface. Tonight, in the dark, something is growing in you, some root of trust going down a little deeper, some seed of peace germinating in the soil of your willingness, some long-resisted healing beginning its quiet work. You will not see it tonight. You may not see it for some time, but it is happening. The conditions are right. The ground has been prepared. The water is flowing. Growth is happening in the dark. Be patient with yourself in the dark. Be gentle with yourself in the seasons when the growth is invisible, and the only thing visible is the difficulty and the weariness and the weight of what is being carried. The underground seasons are not failures. They are not evidence that nothing is happening, or that the promise has been forgotten, or that the care has stopped. They are evidence that the growth is in the roots right now, going deeper rather than growing higher, building the foundation that will support the height that is coming. The tree that grows in an exposed place grows its roots wide and deep before it grows tall. Be patient, be gentle. The season is doing its work. Something in you that was held tightly is looser now. Something that was braced is softer. Something that was resisting is beginning very slowly to allow. This is the work of the night, the work of the stillness, the work of the patient and persistent love that does not give up and does not give in to the hurry that would rush this process. The love is patient. It has time. It knows that the opening cannot be forced, and the healing cannot be hurried, and the rest cannot be manufactured. And so it waits, gently and without pressure, for the natural and organic unfolding of a heart that is, little by little, learning to receive. You are learning. Every night that you lie down and try to release the day, every moment that you loosen your grip on the things you cannot control, every breath that you exhale completely and trust the next one to come, you are learning. You are practicing the posture of receiving. That is the deepest form of faith. And like all learning, it happens gradually with many imperfect attempts and many moments of forgetting and many returns to the beginning. But each return is also progress. Each coming back to the still water is another visit that makes the path to the water a little more familiar, a little easier to find the next time. The path becomes familiar with practice. The way to the still water becomes known in the body as well as the mind, so that in the nights when the mind is too tired to think clearly, the body still remembers the way. This is the gift of a sustained practice of surrender. Eventually, even the surrender becomes a little easier, the path a little more familiar, the rest a little more accessible, not because the burdens become smaller, but because the capacity to release them grows, not because the weariness becomes less, but because the going to the one who receives the weariness becomes more natural. Go to him with your weariness tonight, not elaborately, not with a great speech or a carefully prepared presentation of your needs. Simply go, simply arrive, Simply allow yourself to be in the presence of the one who receives you without conditions. He knows what you need before you ask. He sees into the places you cannot adequately describe. He understands the things you cannot articulate, the grief that has no adequate name, the fear that cannot be fully spoken, the longing that is too deep for ordinary words. He understands, he sees, he receives, and in the receiving, the burden becomes lighter and the rest becomes possible, all the way down, all the way through, all the way to the very deepest and most hidden places of who you are. You are known, known and not condemned, known and not rejected, known and loved completely, with the whole truth of you fully present to the love that holds you. There is no version of yourself that you are hiding from God. There is no room of yourself that God has not already seen. There is no dark corner that the light of divine knowing has not already illuminated. And the response to all of it, all of the darkness and the complexity and the failure and the fear, the response is love, always love. The response to you is always love. This is the most important thing. Before you sleep tonight, let this be the last real thought that settles in you. Whatever you bring, whatever you are carrying, whatever you have done or left undone, whatever you are afraid of, whatever has made you weary, the response to you is love, not judgment, not disappointment, not a list of your shortcomings. Love, complete, consistent, unwavering, given without condition, available to you right now, flowing toward you even in this moment. Love. Your breathing is slower now. Your thoughts are sparse and soft. The room around you, real or imagined, is quiet and safe. The one you have come to is present, gentle, humble, receiving you exactly as you are. The burdens you brought have been placed in hands that can hold them. The weariness you carry is known and met with the rest that was promised. The door is open. The spring is flowing. The shepherd is present. The Father has already seen you from a long way off and has already begun to run. You are not arriving. You have arrived. You are already here. You are already held. You are already loved. And in this love, in this holding, in this gentle and faithful presence that has been with you through every night of your life and will be with you through this one, you can sleep fully, completely, without reservation, without vigilance, without the anxious monitoring of a mind that fears what the dark hours might bring. The dark hours are safe. You are safe. The night is held. The morning is coming. And between now and the morning, nothing is required of you except this: rest. Simply rest. Receive the rest that is given. Accept the love that is here. Be still and know and sleep. Sleep now. Drift in the warmth of being held. Float on the surface of a peace that has no bottom, that will not tip you over, that holds you as the water holds the boat, completely and without effort on your part. The peace is bearing you. The love is carrying you. The night is keeping you. And the one who promised rest is faithful, and the rest is real. And you are loved, and it is enough. And all is well, and you can sleep. There is a sweetness to the complete surrender of sleep that can only be tasted by those who have first lived through the day fully, who have given what was theirs to give and attempted what was theirs to attempt and carried what was theirs to carry. You have done all of that today. Whether it went smoothly or not, whether the outcomes were what you hoped or not, whether you feel like you succeeded or fell short, You have lived the day. You have been present to it. You have tried. And now the night receives you with the same unconditional welcome that receives the most successful day and the most difficult one alike. This welcome is not earned by the quality of the day. The night does not evaluate how well you performed before deciding whether to grant you rest. The night simply comes. The darkness simply falls. The body simply moves toward sleep the way the river moves toward the sea by following its own nature, the nature that was designed for exactly this, for the giving over of the daytime self to the restoring work of the night. You are following your nature now. You are doing what you were made to do in this hour. You are resting. You are exactly right. The stars above are doing what they were made to do as well, burning with the same fierce and steady light they have maintained since the beginning of their creation, each one spending itself in light without diminishing, pouring out brilliance across distances so vast that the mind bends at the attempt to comprehend them, and yet each one is known. The one who calls them each by name, as the psalmist and the prophet declare, knows the name of every point of light in the sky above you tonight. The same knowing attends to you. Small as you are against the scale of the cosmos, you are known by name. You are specifically loved. This specificity is one of the most quietly astonishing aspects of divine love. It does not love in generalities or abstractions. It loves specifically, concretely, the way a parent loves a specific child rather than children in the abstract, the way a shepherd knows each sheep individually rather than caring for the flock as a collective. You are not loved as a member of the human category. You are loved as you, the particular and irreplaceable you, with your specific face and your specific history and your specific needs and your specific beauty and your specific woundedness. All of it is loved. Let that specificity of love reach into the specific things you are carrying tonight. Not the general fact of weariness, but the particular weariness that is yours. Not the abstract concept of burden, but the actual specific weight that has been pressing on you through these days. That specific thing, whatever it is known and seen and held by a love that is not general, but just as specific as the thing itself. The love that sees the sparrow fall sees your particular grief. The love that knows the hairs of your head knows the particular shape of your particular fear. Nothing about you is too small or too specific to be held in this love. The love is holding it right now. While you rest, while your consciousness drifts toward sleep, while the surface mind releases its tight grip on the concerns it has been managing, the love is holding what you have released. Not passive, not inattentive, not simply storing your worries in a kind of divine waiting room, actively attending to what you have released, actively working in the situations you cannot directly affect, not according to your timeline or your preferences necessarily, but according to a wisdom that sees further and knows more and loves more completely than you can from inside your limited perspective. This is the trust that changes everything. The trust that the love which holds what you have released is a love that is not only present, but active, not only caring, but capable, not only well-intentioned, but genuinely powerful. You are not releasing your burdens into the hands of someone who wants to help, but lacks the capacity. You are releasing them into the hands of the one who spoke the world into existence, who holds the stars in their courses, who knows the end from the beginning. The hands are not just warm, they are also strong. The capacity of this love matches its intention. In the darkest moments of the night, this is what holds the soul steady. Not the feeling of faith, but the fact of faithfulness. Not the confidence of the person doing the trusting, but the reliability of the one being trusted. The faith that saves is not the faith that is always strong and never doubts. It is the faith that keeps turning toward the right source, even when the turning is imperfect and the doubts are present and the strength is nearly gone. It is the faith that says, I do not feel certain, and I am keeping my face turned toward you anyway. And that keeping is received as the full and genuine faith that it is. Your face is turned toward the right place tonight. Whatever has led you here, whatever need or longing or simple exhaustion has brought you to this hour of stillness, you are turned in the right direction. The turning is the faith. The being here is the faith. The willingness to lie still and breathe and receive is the faith. And the one toward whom you are turned is not measuring the quality of your turning. He is simply, faithfully, and with great joy, receiving you with great joy. This is perhaps the most surprising aspect of the welcome, that it is not merely tolerant or patient, but joyful. The angels in heaven, Jesus says, rejoice over one sinner who repents, over one lost person who returns. The Father in the parable runs and embraces and calls for the best robe and the ring and the celebration. There is joy in the receiving, genuine and exuberant joy in the return of the one who was lost. You are not received grudgingly tonight. You are not accepted with the resigned patience of someone who has run out of other options. You are received with joy. You are welcomed with celebration. Let that welcome be real to you. Let yourself believe, as much as you can in this tired hour, that your coming tonight is a matter of joy and not merely of duty, that you are genuinely wanted here and genuinely welcomed and genuinely celebrated. This is difficult for those who have been trained by experience to expect a cooler reception, to expect conditions and evaluations and the management of welcome based on what you have done or not done. But the gospel insists on this different kind of reception, warm, full, joyful, unconditional. You are wanted. You are welcome. There is joy at your coming. The warmth of that welcome is something you can carry into sleep, like a lamp that stays lit even as the waking mind sleeps. The warmth of being truly welcomed can remain a background reality through the night hours, a steady and gentle presence that persists even when conscious awareness has ceased. This is not about maintaining spiritual effort through the hours of sleep. It is simply about having received a reality that is true whether you are awake or sleeping, whether you are aware of it or not. The love does not require your awareness in order to hold you. It holds you regardless. You can sleep inside it. There is a lullaby quality to the night that is not childish, but deeply appropriate for every human being, regardless of age, because every human being carries within them the person they once were when they were held and rocked and comforted to sleep. That original need for comfort does not disappear with age. It transforms. It goes underground. It learns to express itself in more sophisticated ways, but it remains. The adult who lies in the dark and feels the weight of worry is the same person who once lay in the dark as a small child and was afraid, and who needed then what you need now: to be held, to be told that someone was watching, to know that the night was safe, and the same one who watched over you as a child, who had you in his care before you could articulate a prayer or form a thought about faith, watches over you now. The care has not grown less attentive with the passage of years. If anything, the knowing is deeper now, because you have lived more, because there is more of you to be known and loved, because the history of your life has grown richer and more specific and more yours. And all of it is held in the same care that held you in the beginning. Every year, every season, every turning, all of it known, all of it held, all of it loved. Think of the way the night sky looks on a clear evening, far from the city's light, when the stars are not just a few bright points, but an uncountable multitude, the Milky Way, a sweep of light across the dark, the whole dome of the sky, alive with the quiet fire of stars beyond numbering. The ancient Israelites looked up at such a sky and heard a promise. Your descendants will be as numerous as those stars, a promise of abundance and continuation, and the faithfulness that extends across generations. The same sky is above you tonight. The same faithfulness that made that promise is the faithfulness that holds you now. The faithfulness that extends across generations, extends across the generations of your own life as well. All the different versions of you that have existed through the years, the child and the adolescent and the young adult and whoever you are now. The faithfulness was present with all of them. It followed the little child through the early years. It accompanied the uncertain teenager through the confusing ones. It walked with the young adult through the years of beginning. And it walks with you now through whatever season of your life this is, carrying the same steady and unwavering care through all the different weathers of a human life. You're a continuing story, not a fixed and finished thing, but a living narrative, still in the process of being written, still in the middle of a story, whose ending has not yet been written in the temporal sense, but whose ultimate conclusion has already been declared, and it will be good. The one who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. The story is not unfinished in the sense of being abandoned. It is unfinished in the sense of still being written, still in motion, still moving toward the conclusion that love intends. You are in the middle of the story. The middle of the story is often the most difficult part, but the middle is not the end. Rest in the middle of the story. Rest in the incomplete and unresolved present, trusting the author of the story to bring it to the conclusion it was always heading toward. You do not need to see the ending in order to rest tonight. You need only to trust the author. And the author is the one who is present with you in this room, who knows the story better than you do, who loves you more than you love yourself, who has been writing goodness into every chapter, even the ones that looked only like difficulty when you were in the middle of them. Looking back, there are chapters that seemed only painful at the time and were revealed later to have contained something valuable, some growth or learning or deepening that was only possible through the difficulty. You may not be able to see that in the chapter you are in right now. You may be too close to it, too tired from it to see anything in it but the weight and the weariness, that is all right. You do not need to see it yet. You need only to trust that the one who has written value into past difficulties has not stopped being capable of doing that. The story continues. The author is faithful. The conclusion is good. And for now, this particular chapter of your story is a chapter of rest. Whatever else is in this chapter, whatever difficulties and unresolved questions and ongoing concerns make up the material of your current days, this night is a chapter of rest. This is the moment in the story where the character is given what they need to continue, where the traveler finds a place to lay down their pack and sleep, where the journey pauses long enough for something essential to be restored. This moment matters. This rest is not a pause in the story. It is part of the story, an important and necessary part, provided with care and intentionality by the one who knows exactly what the next chapter will require of you. The next chapter will require what the rest of this night provides, the clarity that follows genuine sleep, the resilience that follows genuine release, the capacity that follows genuine restoration. What you receive in this night, you will carry into tomorrow, and tomorrow will be different because of what has happened here in the dark, in the stillness, in the surrender. Not always obviously different, not always in ways you can immediately point to and name, but different in the way that a watered root is different from a dry one, different in the deep places where the real work of a life gets done. The real work of a life gets done in places that no one sees, in the moments of private prayer and private struggle and private surrender, in the nights of lying in the dark and letting go and trusting and resting. The visible work of your life is built on the foundation of these invisible moments, on the accumulated deposit of all the times you turned toward the still water and drank, all the times you laid the burden down and let the shepherd carry it, all the times you opened your hands and received what was being given. This night is one of those times. It is being added to the deposit. It is building the foundation. Deep calls to deep. This phrase from the 42nd Psalm captures something of what happens in these night hours of surrender and trust, the way the deep of your need calls to the deep of God's supply, the way the hollow places in you are answered by the fullness that has always been available. Deep calls to deep. The depth of your weariness calls to the depth of the rest that is offered. The depth of your longing calls to the depth of the love that is here. The depth of your fear calls to the depth of the peace that surpasses understanding. Deep to deep. The call is made, and it is heard, and it is answered. You are heard tonight. In the depths of your tiredness, in the places below the surface where the real things live, you are heard. Not just your words, not just the things you can articulate about what you need, but the inarticulate depths, the things too heavy or too complex or too old or too tender for words. The Spirit, Paul says, intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. There is an advocacy happening on your behalf right now that is more articulate than anything you could say yourself, a perfect translation of your need into the language of heaven, a representation of your deepest self before the one who loves you most. You are represented, you are advocated for, you are seen all the way down and loved all the way through. There is not a single part of you that has been overlooked in the accounting of love, not the part you hide, not the part you are ashamed of, not the part you do not understand yourself, all of it seen, all of it known, all of it held in the patient and comprehensive love of the one who made every part of you and called it good, and has never stopped calling it good, even when you could not see the goodness in yourself. Call it good tonight. Call your tired self good, your struggling self good, your imperfect and sometimes failing and sometimes doubting self good, not in the sense that everything you do is right or that every choice you make is wise, but in the sense that you are a good thing, a beloved thing, a thing worth making and worth keeping and worth loving and worth the rest that is being given to you tonight. You are worth this. You are worth the care. You are worth the shepherd's searching and the Father's running and the springs flowing and the night's gentle keeping. You are worth it all. You always have been. This worth is not dependent on what you produce or what you achieve or what role you play in the lives of others. You are not valuable because of what you do. You are valuable because of what you are, which is a person made in the image of God, a beloved child, a specific and irreplaceable presence in the world who has never been duplicated and will never be replaced. Whatever has been said to you that contradicts this, whatever circumstances have suggested your worth is conditional or your belonging is earned, those messages are not the truth. The truth is that you are made in love and held in love and will be returned to love when the journey is complete. The journey continues through sleep. The unconscious hours are not empty of progress or empty of grace. The work of healing and integration and restoration that happens during sleep is part of the journey, not a pause from it. You are not wasting time by sleeping. You are doing essential work, essential receiving, essential restoration of the resources that the journey ahead will require. Sleep is not laziness. Sleep is faithfulness to the design. Sleep is the honoring of the body and the soul that says, I cannot be what I am meant to be without rest, and I am choosing to receive the rest that is given. Choose it completely. If there is any remaining resistance, any last bit of the day's urgency, still insisting that you attend to something, let it go gently. Acknowledge it and let it go. Nothing that needs to be done tonight cannot wait until morning. Nothing that is unresolved will be resolved more quickly by your lying awake reviewing it. The problems that exist will exist in the morning and be addressed with clarity that this tired hour cannot provide, and the rest that is available now will be available much less easily once the morning comes and the demands begin again. Receive it now. Choose it fully. Now is the time for rest. Now. This word, present and immediate, is a gift, not later, not eventually, not in some future when things are easier. Now, in this exact moment, with all its unresolved complexity and all its unfinished business and all its ongoing concerns, now the rest is available. Now the peace is accessible. Now the love is present. Now the arms are open. Now the still water is here. Now is when the invitation is open, and now you are here to receive it. You and the now are meeting exactly as they should. The invitation and the recipient are perfectly aligned. Come, come, and come again, and keep coming. Through all the nights of your life, through all the different weathers of your soul, through the easy seasons and the hard ones, through the times of faith and the times of doubt, through the years when things go well and the years when they do not, Keep coming. Keep turning toward the still water. Keep making your way back to the rest that is always offered and always available and always waiting without impatience for your return. This is the shape of a life lived in trust, not a single dramatic arrival, but a continuous returning, a daily choosing to come again to the one who is always ready to receive. He is always ready. This is the truth beneath all the rest, the bedrock beneath the still water, and the green pasture, and the valley, and the table. He is always ready to receive you. The readiness does not fluctuate with your performance or your consistency or the quality of your last visit. He is ready. The door is always open. The table is always set. The spring is always flowing. The shepherd is always watching. The Father is always looking down the road, ready for you. Tonight and every night and every morning of every day of your whole life. Your whole life is held in this readiness. Every part of it, the parts you are proud of and the parts you are ashamed of, the parts that are still in process and the parts that are long past, the parts that others see and the parts that are known only to you and to the one who made you. All of it held in the same readiness, the same open door, the same flowing spring, the same love that was ready before you knew how to receive it and will be ready long after any particular need has been met and a new one has taken its place. The readiness is permanent. It is part of the nature of the one who is always ready. And you are part of the nature of the one who loves you, made in his image, breathed into life by his breath, sustained in existence by a love that will not let you go. You are not separate from love the way you are separate from a stranger. You are connected to love the way a branch is connected to the vine, the way a child is connected to the parent, the way a river is connected to its source. The connection is your life. It is what makes you who you are. And tonight, in the stillness, you are simply resting in the connection that has always been yours, breathing in the air of the love that has always been your true home. Home, that word, and all the warmth it carries when it is truly understood, when home is the place where you are most fully known and most freely yourself and most completely safe. You may have known a home like that in your childhood, or you may not have. You may have been building it throughout your adult life, or you may still be searching for it. But regardless of what the word home carries for you personally, the home you are in tonight is real and safe and warm and yours. The home that love makes for you is permanent and unshakable and always available. You can go home every night. You can rest there every time. In a little while, you will be sleeping. The thoughts that remain will grow thin and disconnected and lose the quality of deliberate thinking. The awareness of the room will soften to nothing, and the awareness of your body will soften to almost nothing, and the awareness of the concerns of your life will release to the care of the one who holds them while you sleep. This is coming. It is very close now. The sleep you need is near, and the love that watches over you while you sleep is ready, and the rest that was promised is faithful, and all is well, and you can let go. Let go of the last held thing. Whatever it is, however small, however necessary it seems to keep hold of through the night, let it go. You can trust the night to this love. You can trust the morning to this care. You can trust the unresolved things to the wisdom that resolves all things in their time. You can trust your own heart, your own healing, your own story to the author who loves what he is writing and writes with an intention that is entirely for your good. Let go. Let it all rest somewhere that is not your hands. Your hands are for receiving. Open them wide, and let the rest be given. And here it comes, the rest, flowing in like water into empty hands, filling the spaces that have been emptied by the letting go, flowing into the quiet places left by released worries and released tensions and released burdens. The rest is filling you, not a metaphor. Something real is happening in the body, in the nervous system, in the deep rhythms of the biological self that are designed to shift into the mode of restoration. It is happening. You are receiving it. The promise is being fulfilled. Fulfilled. This word, too, belongs to tonight. All the promises that have been spoken over you throughout your life, all the promises of Scripture that you have read and held and perhaps wondered if they were really for you. They are for you, and they are being fulfilled in ways both visible and invisible, in ways both dramatic and utterly ordinary, in ways that you will see clearly someday, and in ways that you are experiencing right now in the simple, holy ordinariness of a human being receiving the rest that God gives to the beloved. Fulfilled here, tonight. You are the fulfillment of love's intention. You are the reason the invitation was extended. You are the one who was being called toward this rest even before you heard the call, the one whose need was anticipated and whose weariness was known, and whose return was watched for with the patience of a love that does not get tired of watching. The invitation was made with you in mind. The rest was prepared with your specific weariness in mind. The spring flows with your specific thirst in mind. You are the point of all this love and grace and provision. You are the beloved for whom the beloved is doing all of this. Sleep, beloved. You are held. You are known. You are loved without condition or reservation or limit. The night is safe, and the shepherd is present, and the arms that hold you are strong, and the love that keeps you is faithful, and the morning is coming, and all will be well. Sleep. You have been given everything you need for this night. You have arrived at the still water, and you have been received without condition. Rest is here, and peace is here, and love is here, and you are here, and everything that needs to be true is true. Sleep, simply and completely, and in utter trust. Sleep. There is something sacred happening in you right now, something that cannot be measured or evaluated or held up for comparison. It is simply the sacred ordinary act of a human being lying down in the night and opening to the care that was there all along, waiting with infinite patience for exactly this moment of willingness. Sacred and ordinary at once, the way so many of the most important things are. A child sleeping, a parent watching, a spring flowing quietly through a garden in the dark. These are not dramatic things, and yet they are the substance of love made visible, the face of grace in its most everyday and essential form. The grace that holds you tonight is not unusual or exceptional. It is the same grace that holds every sleeping person on the face of the earth at this moment, the same grace that holds the birds in their nighttime stillness, and the flowers in their closed and waiting darkness, and the seeds in the ground that will push upward in the morning. You are held in the same grace that holds the whole natural world in its nightly rest, the same faithfulness that maintains the rhythm of night and day, rest and waking, death and resurrection in the small and large cycles of all living things. All living things rest. All living things need the replenishment that only comes through surrender to something larger than the daily effort. You are not different from this. You are not exempt from the need that every living thing shares, and you are not exempt from the provision that meets that need, the provision that was built into the design before the design was complete, the rest that was built in before there were any living things to need it. The rest was prepared in advance. The provision preceded the need. The grace came first. Grace came first. Before your first prayer, grace was already present. Before your first act of faith, grace was already given. Before you knew what you needed, the provision was already prepared. You did not earn your way into the grace that holds you tonight. You arrived into it as you arrived into the air that has been sustaining you every moment since you drew your first breath. The grace is the environment. You live within it the way fish live within water, whether or not they are aware of the water. You are aware of it tonight, and that awareness is itself a gift. Rest in this awareness, not striving to maintain it, not working to sustain it, simply resting in the gentle, knowing that you are held, that the grace is real, that the love is present, that the night is safe and the morning is coming, and all of it is held in hands more capable and more loving than yours. Rest in this, be still, breathe gently, let the knowing settle into your body like warmth settling into cold stone, slowly, thoroughly, all the way through, and sleep. Sleep in grace, sleep in love, sleep in the arms that will still be holding you when the morning comes. Everything will look different in the morning, not because the morning erases the difficulty, but because rest restores perspective, because the clarity that follows genuine sleep sees further and more truly than the tired eyes of the night. The morning is not a rescue from tonight. It is a continuation of the same love that is present tonight, the same faithfulness that holds the night holding the morning as well, the same grace that gives sleep also giving the wakefulness that follows sleep. It is all one continuous care. You are in it now, and you will be in it in the morning, and all the mornings after that, for all the days of your life. All the days of your life. Goodness and mercy, following, not fleeing, not conditional, following, all the days, even this one, even this tired, weary, heavy one, even this one that had more in it than you wanted to carry. Goodness and mercy were here in this day too, even in the hard parts, even in the carrying, even in the weight, and they are here now, in this night, in this rest, in this giving over of everything to the one who holds everything. Goodness, mercy, all the days, including tonight, including this rest, including you, specifically, particularly, by name, with your specific history and your specific needs and your specific, beautiful, complicated real life. You are who the love is for. You are who the rest is given to. You are who the invitation includes when it says all who are weary and burdened. You are the all. You are the weary. And you are the one who will be given rest, who is being given rest, who is receiving rest right now in this very moment as these last words find their way into the tired and opening places of your heart and settle there like birds, finding their nighttime branches quietly and surely and with perfect ease. Perfect ease. That is what the night is offering, and what love provides, and what grace gives to those who are willing to receive it. Not the ease of having no difficulty, but the ease of not carrying the difficulty alone, the ease of trusting that the weight is shared by one who can bear it, the ease of the yoke that is easy, because the one yoked with you is gentle and strong and faithful and kind. Perfect ease is rest in the arms of perfect love, and you are there, you are here, you are held, and you can sleep now in complete and perfect ease, in grace, in love, in the faithfulness that has never once let you go.